summer, well, near summer day, I guess. Ms. Jazinski, can I have a call for quorum?
Mr. Grippo,
Here.
Ms. Hallen,
Here.
Ms. Ham,
Here.
Ms. Harrigan,
Here.
Mr. Martelli,
Here.
Mr. Perugini,
Here.
Mr. White.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Carol. I ask that we stand for the pledge. Jeff, I'm not sure if you have a flag to wave, but we are ready when you are. Thank you. I pledge allegiance
The flag
to the
of the
flag
United States of
of the United
America,
States of America,
to the republic for which it
stands,
stands,
one nation,
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I hope this live YouTube video meeting finds you safe and well. Just a reminder for those of you watching, you can submit questions and comments via the email at cpscovid19@cheshire.k12ct.us. We'll be checking those throughout the meeting, and we'll address them toward the end of the meeting as well. That being said, I'm going to ask for a quick motion to amend the agenda. We want to move up one item so that we're not waiting toward the end of the meeting to get to this item, and also a couple of agenda items. The motion is in our packets. Does someone have a motion to amend the agenda?
I can motion.
Please go ahead, Faith.
I move to amend the agenda to move item 10A, appointment of Darcy School Principal after 3, audience. Add agenda item 5B4, approval of internal control and operational review. Add agenda 5B5, approval of request for deposit to non-lapsing education fund.
Thank you, Faith. Is there a second? Adam Gripple seconds. And the motion is to amend the agenda, move item 10A, appointment of Darcy School Principal after 3, audience, at agenda item 5.B.4, approval of internal control and operational review, at agenda item 5.B.5, approval of request for deposit to non-lapsing education fund. All those in favor? Thank you. It is unanimous. The agenda has been amended. Did I call you Dr. Solon? Well, Dr. Solon, I think we have a special present recognition for our student representatives, as well as student representatives report. So I'm not sure if Isabel and
Yes.
RJ want to report first, or if you want, we'll leave it up to you guys.
Why don't you guys give the report, and then we'll thank you for your service.
Okay.
Right.
Hello everyone. This is kind of sad, but it's wonderful to have this final moment with you all, and we're very thankful. We'll start with our report. So a poll was sent out earlier in this year about what should happen moving forward with graduation, considering the current circumstances. And parents and students decided overall that a traditional graduation ceremony would be best to be had in August, and that's going to be happening Sunday, August 2nd at 6 p.m. And that's going to be as traditional as possible within the guidelines that are provided by the state. And if this doesn't work out, there will be a graduation ceremony at the Farmington Polo Club.
On Tuesday, June 2nd at 6 p.m., we had a live stream ceremony or award night, and it highlighted all the accomplishments of seniors, including special awards, honor cords, and honor medals and scholarships.
Also, there is a program being done by the Record Journal that is honoring graduates. The newspaper is offering a free online page where you as a Cheshire High School senior can submit your photo and information to help celebrate your graduation. It's basically like a complimentary personalized online yearbook. There you can post photos, accomplishments, future plans, and extracurricular activities. This is optional, but I think it's a really great opportunity for our seniors who didn't really get the same end of the year activities as they could have if it was a different time.
CHS will be holding a senior reverse parade send-off, and it's kind of in honor of the traditional or graduation last day of school. And this will take place on June 11th, starting at 2:30 with last names A through L, and 3 o'clock last names M through Z. And students will drive through the campus, and the faculty will be lined up around the building wearing masks and socially distanced, of course, to celebrate the class of 2020.
ANGP, that committee will also be trying to host some sort of event for the seniors in August or November. Also, about the parking fees that the high school usually has for juniors and seniors who are driving to school. Students who paid the $135 for the full year of parking will be reimbursed $43, and students who paid half a year of parking will be reimbursed $52. And then this will be subtracted from the 13 weeks of distance learning. Also, there is the opportunity to donate that reimbursed money, and you can email Mr. Tartarelli about that. And those funds would be going towards purchasing much needed PPE or to support the human services for the COVID-19 local fund relief fund, excuse me.
From June 1st to the 11th, or the last days of school, students will have the ability to meet in conference with teachers about any outstanding assignments or other concerning questions. And on June 8th, there will be a book return and a belonging/pickup return. And vehicles will enter through the main entrance at the stoplight, and cars will proceed through marked stations with the student's name on the window, full name and first name and last name. And students should return books and uniforms, and seniors need to hand in books and Chromebooks and other miscellaneous items to receive their graduation items. And they need to be in PPE. And if you have a fever, you should stay home.
So the schedule is June 8th, seniors, June 9th, grade 9, June 10th, grade 10, June 11th, grade 11. And then there is an email that Dr. Gatt sent out that you can look at to understand like the specific times for last names of students. The Rampage will also be releasing their final edition of the year on June 11th in print. Be on the lookout. Spilled Ink will also be releasing their yearly poetry writing magazine, which I highly recommend, and I've read it before, and it's always incredible.
And the student community response to the death of George Floyd and many others will be scheduled for Sunday with the full support of both Dr. Solon and Dr. Gadd. There will be a peaceful protest, and the CPD is already in support of it. And there will be a march from Bartlam Park to Town Hall, led by students and town members and all who want to show support. And please be there for 2:30 for a session of dialogue and 3 o'clock for the march/protest. Hope to see you there. And on behalf of our year, Izzy and I would just like to say thank you for giving us this opportunity to work with you. It's truly been an honor and a pleasure to work with you all, and we're truly going to miss it. And we thank you for all that you do and your hard work and the success of the school system. And we are forever grateful and appreciative for everything that you do. And once again, thank you so much.
Thank you. And I'd like to add like a personal anecdote really quickly. I know that it must be brief because we have limited time. But I do feel like I entered high school not really knowing what to expect. It was a totally new world. And I had already experienced lots of amazing teachers in middle school. But when I entered high school, it blew my mind away. Just the sheer power of the community at Cheshire High School, and not only the students, but like the administrators, my teachers, and I really felt like it was a good challenge. And that's why I kind of became motivated to be a part of the Board of Education, because it's a really special thing to see the community and adults and students come together and, bringing out their passion for education and really working to make the community the best place it can be. And I'm just really thankful for all the teachers and administrators and adults associated with education that have all touched my life in some way. So thank you.
Well, thank you guys. We are incredibly honored to have you as our student representatives. I mentioned to you at the start of the school year when you first initiated this role, how much different you would feel by the end of the school year and how much more comfortable. You guys have served as incredible liaisons to our Board of Education community, represented the student body incredibly well, and represented our community incredibly well. We're so proud of you. And Dr. Gadd and I, had some notes to share that both RJ Streeter and Isabella Orozco have represented CHS with grace and integrity. I'm so proud of their leadership. On behalf of Cheshire High School, please convey our gratitude and pride to these fine students. We wish RJ all the best as he heads to UConn to enter a pre-med program, and our best to Izzy as she heads to Wellesley College to pursue political science and peace and conflict studies. She is on a pre-law track. You have both made our school and our community so proud, and we will miss you. And it's like you two conspired, knowing the way of the world right now. I couldn't think of two more appropriate majors for you two to pursue. And there's no doubt in my mind that both of you will make the world a better place as you move on. So congratulations to both of you. We will be sending you your nameplates in the mail in a small token of our appreciation for all the nights you spent out and all the time you spent gathering information on behalf of your peers at Cheshire High School. And so with that, I'll turn it back to Mr. Perugini.
Thank you, Jeff and Isabel and RJ. Listen, it has been a pleasure having you on our meetings, hearing you. I think you represent Cheshire High School very well. I'm very impressed with both of you. A number of fronts, your accomplishments in school, where you're heading in your journey in college and beyond in life, but you've always been extremely professional with us. It's great to see, two great students coming to our school system, and you can do great things in this world, and I'm going to hold you to that, because in this crazy day and age, we need good people like you that have the right attitude and positivity and helping some changes. So don't be strangers. I hope you'll come check in from us from time to time. Keep us honest. But good luck with everything. And if there's any way we can help you, don't hesitate to ask. But congratulations, and thank you for your service on the board of ed.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Again, the virtual clapping going on.
Aww.
Clap.
Board members, any comments or questions on the student representative report? But you're welcome to make them. Mr. Grippo.
Yeah, I just wanted to say it's really a great reflection on the class of 2020 that they selected two such fantastic individuals to represent them in front of the Board of Education as you fine folks. And your future certainly looks very bright, even though the world is kind of in a state of reset right now. But I'm sure the future will be bright for both of you, and that you certainly seem to have the tools to be able to exceed in the future. So congratulations. Thank you.
Any other board members? Ann Harrigan and then Andrew. Go ahead, Ann. And then Catherine.
Hi, yeah, I just want to reiterate very quickly, congratulations to the both of you, and it has been a pleasure having you connect us with the high school during these meetings. It really, for those of us whose children have graduated in quite a few years past, it really helps to have that connection to the schools, and done so gracefully as with the two of you. Can I ask RJ, can you repeat the date of the peaceful protest? Because I think it's very important, and I'm thrilled that you chose to make that statement here tonight.
It's this Sunday, June 6th at 2:30.
Great, thank you.
No problem.
At the high school, right?
Yes, Bartland Park.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Thank you, Ann. Andrew, you're next.
Just want to say thank you to the two of you. It's not easy to find the time, I'm sure, in your busy schedules to do this. And not only that, but there's a lot of people who don't feel comfortable speaking in public or going to these meetings. And so you guys getting out there, sitting in front of us, addressing the board and being so prepared and doing it so well, I just want to say hats off to you. And hopefully I can convince my 7th grade daughter to do it for the class of 2025. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Andrew. Catherine, you're next.
Thank you. So ditto what everyone else said, but also I just wanted to express my thanks to both of you and congratulations. And I hope you have a great year coming up, whatever it happens to look like. And we will miss you. You guys were great. So thank you so much.
Faith.
You guys, let me just echo what everybody said, and congratulations and Godspeed, and you're going to be amazing. And my advice to you is hang on to your seats, because life is going to take on warp speed, and amazing things will happen. So enjoy, get lots of smarts, and we expect great things from you.
Thank you, Faith. Isabel, you had a comment?
I do have a comment. I guess after hearing all these things, as corny as this may sound, I really don't feel like RJ and I would be in the places that we are today and be on the tracks that we are today without the support and guidance and compassion that we've experienced in our school systems. I really, genuinely cannot express how thankful I am to have been a part of Cheshire Public Schools. It's like, I really have no words, I'm just very thankful, and I appreciate all the work that, so many of you put into making our school systems so wonderful. And yeah, I just, it's immeasurable how thankful I am. Thank you.
That's awesome, Isabella. Thank you. And I'd be remiss if I didn't say that. As as much as you had the pleasure, I hope, in working with this board, there were many previous boards throughout your career, Cheshire school system, that helped make a lot of the positive things happen. So I'm sure if I run into those board members, I will let them know. Their help several years later helped greatly. So thank you for the compliments.
Thank you.
Excellent. We're going to move on. We're going to move on to presentations. I believe we have 2 very important presentations. Mr. Solon.
Thank you very much. This is another incredible honor. This is like, this meeting is always one of the best of the entire school year, when we get to spend more time honoring our students and some select staff. So I will continue this, and RJ, Isabel, 2 incredible students, and I'm so proud to introduce Dr. Gadd, who will share the stories of 2 more of our incredible students. So I'll pass it off to you, Dr. Gadd.
Good evening, everyone. And just quickly, Isabel and RJ, thank you for all you've done. You're very impressive young people. And I now have the pleasure of introducing 2 more very impressive young people. The first is Andrew Liu. He is our valedictorian for Cheshire High School class of 2020. And Andrew is an intelligent, determined, and ambitious young man who will fulfill expectations of his college program and campus. If you should review his transcript, you would see incredible dedication and his impressive motivation. By the time Andrew graduates, he will have completed 16 advanced placement courses and multiple early college experience classes. Andrew clearly enjoys learning. He looks for ways to expand his knowledge. For example, in his first semester senior year, he took AP Microeconomics online because it was a class we didn't offer at Cheshire High School. He's a member of the National Honor Society, Science Honor Society, Mu Alpha Theta, and earned awards in math and chemistry. He attended the American Legion Boy State Leadership Conference and is currently the Boy State Secretary of State. Teachers comment he is a tremendous student to have in class, and I quote, "He is always in a good mood, always smiling, always finds the positive in a given situation, and always has a witty quip ready to go. As busy as he is, he maintains a strong sense of calm and balance. As accomplished as he is, Andrew remains genuinely humble. Although his school performance has been remarkable, it's important to share with you his other outstanding characteristics. Our town and school communities have greatly benefited from Andrew's contributions to volunteer work, school clubs, and athletics. He is admired and respected by both the faculty and students at Cheshire High School. Andrew is a musician, a swimmer, and an avid volunteer. One of the places Andrew volunteers is Elam Park Retirement Home. Staff at the home rely on Andrew to do much of the work the other volunteers avoid. Some of the jobs include gathering eggs, cleaning the chicken coop, and cleaning rooms. Although Andrew isn't fond of these chores, he understands someone has to step up, and he does so without complaint. Andrew does have the opportunity to interact with the residents and play bingo. Andrew is responsible, bright, and giving, and he has a positive influence on our school and community, and he will positively impact the faculty and students and the whole community at Cornell University next year. Congratulations, Andrew.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And now, Cindy Go, she is our salutatorian for the Cheshire High School class of 2020. Quote, a person of enormous integrity in class, an outstanding, insightful, and enthusiastic leader, a student who stands out as an exceptional person. These are direct quotes used to describe Cindy Go. And Cindy is also known as Yaya. She is truly a phenomenal young woman. Besides having an impeccable transcript with 13 APs and 6 early college experience courses, Yaya is confident, kind, humble, and lighthearted. She has walked the halls of Cheshire High School with a sweet, genuine smile on her face and a powerful determination in her heart. Yaya has been immersed in numerous activities through her 4 years at Cheshire High School. She is a member of National Honor Society, Science National Honor Society, student government, and a peer advocate. She has completed over 200 hours of community service throughout her high school career. She has won multiple awards over the years for academics: CHS Leader Scholar, the Bausch and Lomb Science Award, the Gettysburg Book Award, and the Cheshire High School Fred Willits Award for Chemistry, just to name a few. She was also nominated for the 2020 U.S. Presidential Scholars Award and Elite Award of top students across the nation. Yaya has been a valuable member of the CHS Symphonic and Marching Band, where she spent countless hours preparing and participating in highly competitive competitions. From 2014 to 2018, Cindy was also a select student piano competition winner. Yaya's activities outside of school are just as impressive as her academic standing and positive personality. She is currently an assistant director at Kumon Learning Center in Cheshire. In the past, Yaya has been an ambassador to the pediatric unit at Yale New Haven Hospital, an assistant coach at the Yale Figure Skating Club, and a teaching assistant at Southern Connecticut State University's Chinese School. In the fall, Cindy will be attending Yale University, majoring in the field of STEM with aspirations to pursue a degree in medicine. The Yale community is incredibly lucky to have Cindy because there is nothing this young woman can't do. Congratulations, Yaya.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm just so proud of all 4 of our kids who are here tonight. You're wonderful students, and my goodness, we miss you and will miss you.
Thank you, Dr. Gadd. And, if I could just add very quickly, Andrew and Yaya, congratulations on your incredible success. This beginning of our board meeting this evening is really what we do, why we do what we do. That we try so hard as a community to provide you guys opportunities to be successful, but you're really what makes it happen. And you are the reason we come to work every day, the 4 of you. And it's really, we're so proud of everything that you do. And we couldn't be happier for you guys. And we wish all of you the very best of luck as you move on in your journey in life. And I hope that I can socially distant wave to you at least on June 11th as we go through the reverse parade. I'll look forward to seeing you guys then. Congratulations, guys. Mr. Perugini?
Thank you, Jeff. Andrew, Yaya, it's impressive what you've been able to accomplish so far. And, I'm sorry to speak for the whole board. We're looking forward to seeing what you're going to do in the near future. I give you so much credit for the work effort and time and commitment you put in, not just in the school system, but for our community. And I'm very proud of your accomplishments, and I know many are, and we're looking forward to see what you can do. And again, as I said earlier, you're always welcome. Check in, let us know how you're doing. I'm be very curious to see where you're going to be in a few years, and looking forward to the positive impact you're going to make on our community for us. So congratulations. This is a well-deserved honors, and it's very impressive. Thank you. One more round of applause. I'm not sure if any other board members want to comment. You're certainly welcome to. Otherwise, we can move on to the next presentation. And we don't have any other comments. So Isabel, RJ, Andrew, Yaya, you're certainly welcome to stay on the meeting. You don't have to, and we won't take it personally if you don't. But enjoy seeing your faces. But we're gonna move on to the presentation report. But if you drop off, thank you so much for everything.
So this next presentation, the first couple of presentations are incredibly humbling, in the sense that to see what these young people have accomplished already in their life makes me feel kind of woefully inadequate. But and we didn't even read off all of the transcripts, and that's to save everybody here's dignity. But what this next presentation does is really inspire me, because I have the profound honor of recognizing folks who have already declared their retirement. Now, if you saw last night's Finance Committee meeting, you realize that we offered an early retirement incentive package. So a number of those folks, it kind of came down to the wire, who took advantage of the incentive package. But the people that are being acknowledged right now already put in their retirement papers, and then we'll have another group that we're going to acknowledge at our last board meeting of the year on June 30th. So without further ado, I have a quick presentation for you recognizing 6 of this year's Cheshire Public School retirees. If you could mute your... Thanks.
In 1996, an ambitious Jane Goralnik became a substitute for the Cheshire Public Schools. 2 years later, Jane resigned and moved over as a permanent teacher for the Madison Public Schools. It was during that time that I first met Jane, as we worked together at what was then called Brown Middle School. Jane then rejoined Cheshire Public Schools in August 2006, and for the past 14 years, she has served with distinction and honor at Dodd Middle School. In both of my capacities and in reflection from several of her colleagues, Jane is always steady, fair, compassionate for all of her students, as she works tirelessly to support their needs as a special education teacher. Her tenure at Dodd has been one filled with laughter, tears, and hope that the impact she made on all of her students will be lifelong and fulfilling for them to be successful. Jane, I wish you the best in health and in happiness in your years to come. You have a bit of a road ahead of you, but I know it's one that you will take on with the same dedication and drive that you have shown us all here at Dodd. Best of luck in your retired years, Jane, and we'll miss you greatly.
Sue Montagna Vogt has been a speech and language pathologist at Darcy, Doolittle, and Chapman schools since 1992. Sue is a dedicated professional who has loved her work, especially her work with Cheshire's youngest children at Darcy School. Sue was most happy providing services in the preschool classroom, where she could play alongside her children while delivering important therapy. Sue is a team player and collaborated with her team to provide the best possible program for her students. Her observations and insights in helping her team to understand a child's behavior, misbehavior, or their developmental levels were invaluable to the team. Sue served on many committees at Darcy and was always the first to volunteer when help was needed. Sue took on the rotating high school schedule with grace and professionalism. She then adjusted to the middle school's double rotating schedule this past year. One could see the trust, the connection, and her relationships that she formed with the students and families through the years. Sue's kindness, her commitment to, and compassion for children will be missed by her whole entire Cheshire family. We will all wish her the best as she begins her new journey. Donna Nadi, a true champion for children and their families. Donna has been providing exemplary opportunities for families in the Birth to Three program since 1993, when she returned to Cheshire Public Schools after being home with her own family. Donna, who was nominated as Cheshire Teacher of the Year for the 2017-18 school year, is a deeply committed and passionate educator whose work as an early interventionist has been an inspiration to us all. Over the years, Donna has impacted the lives of many children and their families in very profound ways. She knows infants and toddlers like no one else and advocates fiercely for every child so that he or she can reach his or her greatest potential. Her ability to empower parents has been remarkable. It is a gift that parents will treasure forever. As the leader of the Birth to Three team, Donna always led by example, thus creating a Birth to Three team that has been equally committed to the important work they do. It is because of Donna that the Cheshire Birth to Three program has been recognized statewide as a model program. Donna's professional wisdom, her experiential insights, and the leadership skills will be greatly missed by her Darcy family and the early childhood community. It is with love and appreciation that we wish Donna the best as she opens the new chapter of her next journey.
In January of 1990, Cheshire Public Schools hired an ambitious social worker named Carolyn Woodbury. For the past 30 years, Ms. Woodbury has dedicated her life to the students and families of Dodd Middle School and the Cheshire community. Words cannot describe the dedication and compassion that Ms. Woodbury used to support countless students in crisis and families in need. Ms. Woodbury is steadfast in her support for everyone who she has known as part of the Dodd family. Forever the glue that binds us together, that binds our staff together, Carolyn has been a shoulder to cry on, ears to listen, and words of wisdom for all who have crossed her path. With grace and delicacy and a vibrant sense of humor, Carolyn is that figure in our lives who we turn to listen and learn to become better people. As a collaborative co-worker and someone who was willing and able to be on the forefront of modern practice, Carolyn has mentored many of us on not only how to support students and families, but to also become better people. To say that you will be missed is a dramatic understatement to the Dodd family. Carolyn, we wish you all the best in your retirement years, and we look forward to hearing about all of your adventures in Arizona. We love you.
Pat Lee, affectionately known by all as Miss Pat, is a passionate early childhood educator who began her career in 1978 as an elementary art teacher at Norton and Highland. In 1980, she became a preschool teacher in the Early Intervention Center at Darcy. It is at Darcy that Pat found her true calling. As an early intervention teacher, she was highly respected by her colleagues and deeply loved by her students and their families. Pat's kind, gentle, and respectful nature, coupled with her extraordinary understanding of young children, earned her the reputation as a child whisperer. It was Pat who could quickly diffuse an out-of-control child and gently guide that child into purposeful play. Miss Pat is also known throughout the early childhood community as the master of creating flexible environments for children. Her artistic eye and deep understanding of child development was an essential part of this success. Pat will be deeply missed by her Darcy family, but we wish her all the best as she heads into retirement with her beloved dog, Brody.
Hi, I'm Cheshire Public School Superintendent Dr. Jeff Solon, and I'm very proud to recognize our last retiree, and that is Darcy Early Learning Center principal, Miss Ann Donnery. Ann graduated with her bachelor's degree from University of New Hampshire before earning a master's degree from Southern Connecticut State University and ultimately a certification in administration from Sacred Heart University. For many years prior to coming to the Cheshire Public Schools, Ann was a successful elementary, kindergarten, and pre-K teacher in New Haven. And she certainly brought everything she learned to the children of Cheshire when she was appointed Darcy principal back in 2012. So for the last 8 years, Ann has dedicated herself to serving the students in our community and has done a masterful job. From supporting our district transition to full day K, the incredible work she's done with Smart Start, bringing early childhood education to so many more kids in our community. The NIAC accreditation, which I know to Ann's chagrin, she wasn't able to finalize because of COVID-19, but did an incredible amount of work to prepare us and become one of the marquee early childhood preparation centers in Connecticut. Those things being said, and those things are important, her work around circle of security is what will probably define Ann most. Her incredible efforts to support attachment for kids and parents and help healthy relationships for students is something that I will most remember her for. And then finally, you know, her work around responsive classroom was an important part of what we do across the Cheshire Public Schools, and Ann served as a leader in that respect. I want to congratulate you, Ann, on your retirement. I want to also thank you for your many years of service to the Cheshire Public Schools and for you being a tireless advocate for early childhood education. Congratulations to Ann and all of our retirees. So between our group of teachers there, 128 years of service to the Cheshire Public Schools. So the average teacher in that group having 28 plus years of service. So I think that's really a testament to them and their compassion for our community, as well as the school system itself and the other teachers and administrators and parents that they've worked with to be in such a place that they don't want to leave, because God knows they would have had opportunities if they so chose, but everybody sticks around. So congratulations again to Jane Gorelnik, Sumantanya Vogt, Donna Nadi, a former Teacher of the Year, as Ann mentioned, Carolyn Woodbury, Pat Lee at 42 years, and of course, Principal Ann Donnery. Congratulations to all our retirees that we're honoring here tonight.
Thank you, Jeff. It could be me, you know, I certainly made my calculations mistakes before, but I calculated 150 years in that list.
Yeah, I think because you included Ann too.
Got it.
Ann Donnery. I just went with the teacher. She is an administrator. You know, that she came a little bit late, and I don't want to devalue her service by any stretch, but you know, 142 years amongst those teachers is really amazing, and we also obviously thank Ann for her incredible service too.
It is. And, you know, my point is, it's just a significant amount of experience and heart and dedication that is leading our school system, and you know, I'm very thankful for their work and support over the years, and you know, whatever retirement, please enjoy it. You very, very much deserve it. So thank you for your service. I lost my agenda. I believe up next we have audience.
Yes, I had one email come in now from Jamie Ferguson, 105 Copper Beach Drive, suggesting that we encourage everyone to reconsider on the board the intent of the social media use policy 9327.1A that was proposed last year. Well, that amount of detail may be more appropriate for a guideline than regulation and a policy, and some may consider it too restrictive. It certainly could have prevented the very unfortunate error in judgment that was circulated on social media last week. Everyone makes mistakes. We've all said things we wish we could retract. I'm sure the chairman would choose differently today than he did last week, but it's created a question of confidence for the entire board and school district. The chairman has served this town for a long time. I'm certain his intent is to do the best for the community, as he always has. However, at this time, it may be appropriate to rescind the role of chair and serve the body and community in another capacity. I regret you're all in this position with a colleague and friend, but I have confidence you will reach an appropriate decision for the community. Stay well, Jamie. That's all the all the audience comment at this point.
Thank you, Jeff. Up next, we have our consent calendar. There's 2 items on the consent calendar. One is the approval of 2020-2021 tuition rates, and the other is approval of 2021 Board of Education meeting schedule. Jeff or Vincent, do you want to walk us through the tuition rates?
The tuition rates are established really using a formula provided to us by the state, and they are really only used when we have somebody who's attending our school system who doesn't live in our town, and we tell them, you know, we're going to have to charge you tuition. Actually, the last time that we charged elementary tuition, I think was 2012, and the last time we charged high school was 2010. So it's not something we use really at all. We are required to establish it. Now, this is different than the tuition that's charged for Smart Start preschool or our early childhood programs. That's set. The Smart Start is set on a sliding scale from the state. So this is really just for, like I said, the situation where we would have somebody attending who actually shouldn't be by residency. We set this annually.
Are there questions on that portion of the consent calendar by the board members? Tim, please go ahead.
Thanks, Tony. Yeah, Jeff, just across the state, what's a general situation in which a common situation would even come up?
Well, certainly the situation that I just outlined, some school systems will, you know, accept non-resident students on a tuition basis. As a matter of fact, Madison just, pre-COVID, put out advertisements suggesting people could attend at the tuition rate. So it's that is super rare. I've not heard of that before. The former is the more frequent application of the tuition.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other board members or questions on this part of consent calendar? Thank you. We do have the minutes of the last board meeting in our packet. I'm not sure if anyone has any changes or addendums to those meeting minutes. Doesn't appear to be. There is a motion to accept the consent calendar. Does someone want to make a motion? I'm sorry, who raised it?
I'll do it. Sure. Okay. I move that the Cheshire Board of Education approve the consent calendar as presented.
Thank you, Catherine. Is there a second?
Second.
Andrew seconds. The motion is that the Cheshire Board of Education approves the consent calendar as presented. All those in favor, please raise your hands. It is unanimous. Thank you. Up next is, I believe, item 5, which are we moving the principal appointment to the first item, item 5?
Yeah, yes.
So, sorry, I got 20,
Yes.
20 tabs. I apologize. I have 20 tabs open with a bunch of documents and handwritten notes on the changes. So people wondering what I'm doing. I'm just trying to get my bearing here. So we actually have a very exciting appointment tonight. Dr. Sloan, you want to give us the
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Perugini. Obviously, I already presented that Ann Donnery is retiring this year, and that's a significant loss to our school system. The Early Childhood Center at Darcy School has beyond an incredible reputation, even beyond state borders, for a real focus on the needs of preschool age students in early childhood education. That reputation has been forged over decades, starting with Steve August and just passed down through generations. And it is really one of the crown jewels in the community of Cheshire. And so it is with great honor tonight that we appoint somebody to take over that responsibility. No pressure, as I guess I just created, but we believe that this candidate has all the right capacity to build on that incredible reputation. And so I'd like to pass it over to Marlene Solano to just give you a little bit of background on our appointee, Ms. Kim Desert.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you. I want to thank all of the folks who were a part of this interview committee. We certainly had a large group, including representation from special education and speech and language, OT, PT. We had some parents. Mr. Grippo was also a part of the process. Teachers from Darcy. It was Donna Nadi, who we recognized earlier this evening as well. So I'm very pleased to introduce you to Kim Desert. Kim is a skilled leader who has a deep understanding of best practices for early childhood education. Throughout the search process, we learned of Ms. Desert's relentless pursuit of what is best for children. She possesses a deep understanding of early literacy and responsive classroom practices, as well as the Connecticut Early Learning and Development Standards. Perhaps most importantly, Ms. Desert conveyed to the search committee the importance of listening to children, to teachers, to parents, and to each other. Ms. Desert was described as a tireless advocate for students with special needs and was instrumental in bringing inclusion preschool to her district. Ms. Desert currently serves as the principal of Kelly Lane School in Granby. She received both her 6th-year certificate in Ed Leadership and Master of Arts degree in Reading from Central Connecticut State University. Her undergraduate degree in Child Study with a minor in Special Education was earned at the University of St. Joseph. Her supervisors, her superintendent of 10 years, Dr. Alan Adley, who's now superintendent in Darien, her superintendent in Granby, and as well as her assistant superintendent and I had many conversations over the last couple of weeks, and they could not speak more highly of her qualifications. So I present that information to you all.
Thank you, Marlene. Dr. Solon. Is there a motion on the table? Amy.
Who's making the motion? I can make the motion.
I'm sorry, that's why you raised your hand, or do you want to make a comment?
No. I was going to make the motion.
Please do. Yes.
Okay.
Right.
All right. Okay. I moved that the Cheshire Board of Education appoint Kimberly Desert to the position of Darcy School Principal effective July 1, 2020. Further, that Ms. Desert be compensated in accordance with the collective bargaining agreement between the board and the Cheshire administrative personnel.
Thank you, Ken. Is there a second? Ann, you second. Discussion.
Welcome to
Ann
Cheshire.
has been first, then Ann.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I had the opportunity to sit down and to speak with Principal, or soon to be Principal Dessert. And we had a great conversation. And I have all the confidence that Darcy School is being left in great hands. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ann. Ann, you're next.
Hi, Ms. Dessert. I just want to say welcome, and I'm sure that we will be happy with you. We now have many great hires under Dr. Solin's direction, and I'm sure that you are going to be the next great confidence in our school system. So thank you for coming to us. And welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Any other board member? Awesome. Mr. Tim, you had your hand up, please.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for coming, joining us in Cheshire. But I just have a procedural question for Jeff. Is this a symbolic motion?
Basically, because we, I have the authority to hire principals, actually, and so this is, we do this to share our new principal appointees with the full community, and also ask, the board to provide their support, although Ms. Dessert has not yet signed a contract. But we have the board appointment and then we sign the contract. She hopefully will be able to do that tomorrow.
Okay, I just want to be clear for the public that this is symbolic, and hiring and firing anything is basically, that's all belongs to the superintendent, and the superintendent reports to the board, and this is a symbolic vote, and I'm happy. I can support that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome, Ms. Dessert. We're happy to have you. You come highly recommended. Looking forward to your expertise and helping out Darcy School, and look forward to working with you. So welcome. And we were Jeff and I were kind of toying around yesterday a little bit about, hey, do we have you wait the entire meeting to the very end to get to this? We couldn't just do that in any kind of good conscience. So we decided to up a little quicker so that we can acknowledge you and welcome you aboard. So welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm really excited to be joining Cheshire Public Schools. I really look forward to continue the great work that is happening at Darcy School, and really to work with the school community to best educate our youngest learners.
Thank you. Welcome. We're gonna have some fun.
Thanks.
Up next, we have our curriculum report. Am I correct?
Yes.
Thank you. That would be you, Faith.
Sorry. Okay. Find my tonight. We are moving to approve textbook titled "Essentials of Comparative Politics and Cases." We had a 4-week review, and it seemed to pass muster. In the interest of time, the documentation is on. It has been sent to you. Do you want me to go through it, or would you just? We discussed it at the last meeting. Do we need to review that? I'm curious. What would you like me to do?
Well, Faith, that's up to you. If the board members feel they've read the updates and don't have any questions, we shouldn't have to spend too much time on that. But as chair of curriculum, that's your call.
Okay. Well, let me. Can I have a motion? Yeah. Let's perhaps if you call for the motion, and then we can discuss.
Sounds good, Faith. I wasn't sure if you can get update first and then get into it, but I got it. So, is there a motion under curriculum that someone would like to make?
I can make it.
Ooh.
If you'd like. I move that the Cheshire Board of Education approve the purchase of the following textbook, Essentials of Comparative Politics with Cases, 6th AP edition.
Is there a second? and seconds. Any discussion? Seeing there is none.
No.
Pause. Tim, yes.
Yeah, just a little bit of background on it. It's not just for me; it's for the public that's watching what's
Okay,
going on.
happy to go through it. I'm sorry. This is a review from April. You have the title. It was published, date of publication was 2018. A description: this book is the best option for a text for AP Comparative Government class, which is a new class at the high school this year, or starting next year, because it has both chapters centered around the thematic threads that are the core of the AP Comparative Government curriculum, as well as having case study chapters. The case study chapter addresses the same core themes in the AP 6, the UK, Russia, China, Iran, Mexico, and Nigeria. The book is readable for students, and they did review it. It is very readable, and has correlation guide that will help the instructor utilize the book in a way that facilitates a thematic or country-by-country course organization. The book is well reviewed by colleagues across the country that teach AP Comparative Government. Most people in the teacher community who have adopted it find it more successful in engaging students while meeting the content requirements of the recently revised CED. Though it is not perfectly aligned with the new CED, a text that is aligned is more than a year and a half away, according to the publisher. When consulting the teacher community, most teachers favored this text over others due to how comprehensive it is compared to the next most popular text that is more a study guide than an actual text. The textbook company also provides an instructor manual, test bank, and other classroom resources that other texts do not. The cost of the purchase is, it's here somewhere,
$902.
Thank you, Ms. Solano. And
$73 each, and we need 25 of them.
yes, there's the number. So that's the summary of the book.
And is that basically came from Tim Galvin, the AP?
Yes, it did.
AP teacher. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
It was approved by unanimously by the curriculum committee. And as I said, it was there for review by both public and board members who were interested.
Okay.
Any other questions from our board members? Seeing as there's none, the motion, excuse me, move that the Cheshire Board of Education approve the purchase of the following textbook: Essentials of Comparative Politics with Cases, 6th AP edition. All those in favor, please raise your hands. It is unanimous. The motion passes. Thank you, Faith. Unless anything else after curriculum, we're going to move on to finance, starting with a financial update. Who would take that one?
I suppose that would be me, Mr. Chairman. We had an excellent finance meeting last night. Hopefully those of you who are watching in the public had a chance to view us on YouTube yesterday evening. It was a remarkably short meeting for finance. It was only 2 hours, 15 minutes. And last night we had a robust discussion about the cuts that we are going to have to make, or revisions to the budget, to meet our commitment to further reduce our budget by, or our request by 900, I believe it was 908,000 and change. And during our discussion, we also asked for a revision, or I guess an amendment from Mr. Solon, Mr. Massiana, and I believe that revision is in your packet this evening. I was wondering if perhaps Mr. Massiana and Mr. Solon would like to explain the changes.
Sure, I'd be happy to walk through that. If you want to, I can pull up on, Vin, can you pull it up on the screen? Do you have it right
Yeah.
there?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you don't mind pulling it up, I can walk through it as Mr. Massiana shares the document with you. So it is, Mr. Grippo was saying at last night's meeting, there was a good conversation about, how do we move forward as a school system within our means. And as we always say that our greatest emphasis is on our staff who are working with kids on a daily basis. And of course, there has to be a balance that, we can't spend every penny and have zero professional development, or of course we need, insurance and gasoline and things like that. So what we tried to do was, has been always says trade-offs. How do we add the English position back, which I think we all recognize is incredibly valuable. Cheshire High School has the second most students per teacher in Durg B. I went over that in our January presentation. So we wanted to add that back. How we did it, we put $80,000 back into the teacher line. As Adam mentioned last night, we did hire, or in this budget, we included 3 half-time special ed positions. And I did mention last night that our special ed leadership team was meeting today. In that process, they identified another IA position that they could reduce, which covered 25,000 of the 80 that we needed to cover. The other items that you see there remain static from last night. So, Mr. Massiana, if you want to scroll down, the leadership team also was able to reduce our consultation line by $15,000. That, again, due to the addition of staff. The consult line will often be people that we hire from outside to do specific evaluations or provide additional support services on short-term basis. And Tracy and her team was able to reduce that line by $15,000 today. If you want to continue to scroll down, Mr. Massiana. The first highlight up top is a reduction in transportation with the unfortunate cancellation of extended year services for special education. That'll allow us to save about $30,000 in our transportation line. The next highlight below that you see is somewhat related, but also related to negotiation of locking in our diesel rate at a lower than expected amount. That's been one of the silver linings, I guess, in the COVID situation, is that gas prices have come down significantly. So we identified 10,000 there. So I just went through the 80,000 we added up top in the personnel line to cover that teaching position plus benefits, and the 80,000 that we deducted that stayed away from the classroom, that are well reasoned and won't impact our students if we were to pull from some of the other lines. So, I think this is a strong alternative to what was presented last night. I don't know if there are any questions, Mr. Grippo.
I'll certainly begin. Thank you for you and your team for going back through to find that 80,000 to, if someone please correct me if I'm off base, but to restore the English teacher, or at least the position at the Cheshire High School level.
That's correct.
That we all felt was important. Not that the positions at DOT aren't equally as important, but you had made the case that perhaps those were more manageable as far as reductions that we needed to make. So I commend you on that. I also wanted to just kind of comment. There was a lot of passionate discussion about the 42,000 for the project manager. I guess a shared cost incurred between the town and the board. we didn't have a lot of information about that. And I was wondering if you could speak to, and actually we only kind of find out about it last night, and I was wondering if you could speak to when exactly that decision was made, if it was possible for us to know sooner about that or not, or if you could explain the timeline as to how that cost came about. Because as my understanding, at least historically, that we have had a lot of projects not really run all that well in town, and this was a solution to sort of ensure that going forward that we have an efficiency built in so that the projects are run more smoothly and that can be have a more of a chance to come in on time and under budget. So,
Yeah.
so I definitely support the expenditure. I think it's necessary, but I just wanted to know kind of the origin of it so that we could have a better understanding as to why we need to incur it.
Sure. First of all, I can't speak to town projects with really any sort of knowledge. I think Mr. Massiano would have a shot, but that's probably a little out of his lane too. I would say that the Board of Ed projects, from everything from the drainage and tunnel work at Cheshire High School, the windows and sidewalks around the district and things like that have seemed to run fairly well under our management. But I do know that, as the work load increases, both on our side of the street and across the street, the demand has grown. So, Vin, I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about that and the timeline of when we were discussing this.
Sure. And good evening, everyone. The basic timeline is after the super recommendation of the budget to the board, and after the Board of Ed approved the budget and it was transmitted to the town manager, which that occurred back in January. The town doesn't prepare its budget and present it to the council until sometime in March. So it was sometime in March, early April, that Sean Kimball asked if we would support splitting the cost of adding a project manager position. And the logic of splitting the cost is, the projects that are assigned to the Public Building Commission that are managed through the town staff. Most, in some years of the projects, are school projects. And in other years, it's not mostly school projects, but there's always quite a few school projects to manage. The process itself of, taking a project from appropriation to completion, requires bidding. Prior to bidding, you have to design, hire an architect, bid it, evaluate those bids. So there's a lot of work to be done on each of those projects. And the amount of projects has increased over the last couple of years, although it is dropping in next year's capital budget that's been requested. But there's no doubt it's put a strain on resources, the number of projects. The process with the Public Building Commission, requires Public Building Commission approval and then town council approval at different stages. So it is somewhat more consuming than the projects that are assigned to the Board of Ed. So that's, some basic background on the timing and the need for the position. So the position is estimated to be about an $85,000 per year position. The board, actually myself, would get involved with the hiring decision. I think that, a person that has the right skill set hired into that position will enable us to do a better job overall of not only, preparing projects, bidding projects, and completing projects. And the reason for that is it would be one person dedicated full-time to project management. Right now, both on the Board of Ed and the town project side, the people that are doing the legwork are myself and Rich Clevet, the facilities manager. On the town side, it's George Nowotny and sometimes the town engineer. And we have other responsibilities. So the logic of this really is to have a focus on project management, which we haven't had in in our town and on the Board of Ed side. So, you know, I do think it is a good idea, you know, notwithstanding the funding, you know, certainly a question in light of the budget cuts.
Thank you for the explanation. Mr. Perugini, am I controlling discussion or are you?
You are.
Okay, thank you.
It's Chairman Grippo. This is under your finance.
All
update.
right, thank you. So I believe, Catherine, you had a comment.
Yes, I did. Again, I was one of the people that objected to absorbing this cost at this time, and I remain in that camp. I really think it's not the right thing to do right this moment, because we really don't know what the COVID impact on our budget for even next year is going to be. And again, I don't see that I know that there are projects going on all the time, and I know that this position is not a frivolous position, and I'm not trying to suggest that it is, but if we were not already facing a budget cut from what we had submitted to the town council of almost $1 million, I might not feel so strongly about this, but we are dealing with that. And I just I cannot approve this kind of an expenditure out of the funds that we need for other, I think, more important things immediately this coming year. And as you know, I was not happy that if this was going to be part of what had to be absorbed by our budget, then I think that the town council might have given us a heads up on that when they were reviewing our budget and deciding how to, you know, what needed to be cut, what amount needed to be cut. So I just want to get back out there and say again what I pretty much said last night. So there you go. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. Let's see. Tim, comment.
Yeah, thank you, Adam. So Adam, you had mentioned that there was a sort of a long history with some difficulties with this. So I'm just going to put on my old council cap. Back in the 10 to 20 year range, I had a fairly long and public disagreement with the Public Works Department. After I left, a few years after I left, so this is probably going back 6 to 8 years or something, the person who I felt really wasn't managing a lot of these projects that well, he ended up getting arrested for corruption. This is probably about a year ago. I certainly hope that the things have improved greatly since then, but that is part of the history that I know between the Board of Ed and the town council, particularly related to the Public Works Department. So he had left 6 to 8 years ago. These other events happened, you know, in the past year, but it really left a bad taste in my mouth, and it is part of the history. So just wanted to mention that. So with regard to the the construction project manager, as I said last night, so we may have different viewers tonight, so I just want to reiterate what I had said last night. I'll support this. I'm not fond of the way this is happening. And I think Vin had said, staff found out in March or April, so it probably could have been conveyed to us sooner. But nonetheless, I will support this because, as I said last night, we've got, you know, we have our annual operating budget and our annual capital budget, which is kind of wrapped into the operating budget. But we have more issues than that on an ongoing basis, where we're going to the council and asking for funding. And Jeff, you had mentioned last night that you were going to be requesting the $200,000 from the council. That's what we voted on. I'm not sure if I'm not sure. The point is it's a collaborative relationship that the board and the council need to have. So I completely understand the not liking the process, but in the end, I think that this is, it makes sense for a variety of different reasons. There is time required for construction project management. And so I want to support it in some way. I don't know if 50% is the right number, but I'm comfortable supporting this. the project manager component. That's it for now.
Thank you. Faith.
Some of the, I guess I had missed last night about the march, but first of all, let me just say, Jeff, Marlene, and Vin, thank you for pulling this together. To me, it looks a lot better than what we were looking at last night, and I appreciate the reinstitution of that English teacher at the high school level, because it is vitally important, especially at the freshman, sophomore level. But with regard to that 42,000, I echo the concerns, and I understand it's going to streamline the process, and that's wonderful. I guess it's a rather, I'm new, so if someone, Ben, if you could explain to me how it was that we were not, as a board, informed about this, number one, back in March when it came up. I'm not sure if we would have had any say in the matter, but as a board, I think we should have known. And the other reason, the other big concern is just the precedent it's setting. As I said last night, we are autonomous, and to have the town say, oh, you're going to pick up half the salary after we had already established our budget and we were acting in good faith, I have a concern with that. And Tim, you raised the question of a collaborative relationship. I don't see collaboration going on there. So, because this is such a much better budget, and we're between a rock and a hard place, I'll support it. But I really just don't like that, and I would like to just be on record as saying so. Thanks.
Thank you, Faith. Tony.
Thank you. I just happened to have an informal discussion with town council today, and I asked about this, and they said it's highly unlikely that they would have added this to our budget without adding the dollars to the increase we received. And I like giving people the benefit of the doubt, and I worked with town council in the past, but I'm not trying to be facetious here, but I really want to confirm whether or not that amount was added to the budget to cover this. If it does, great. I feel much better about it. We're probably not going to have the answer tonight, but it is a little odd how this transpired, and I don't know if perhaps dropped on our end. I don't know when we heard from the town manager, but the board should been made aware of it. But hopefully someone from the town side can answer that question. That's all I wanted to add.
Thank you. Let's see who's next. Catherine.
Couple of things. So I just wanted to address the concept of, if there had been some discussions back in February and March, why didn't we know about it? I think we're forgetting that in mid-March, COVID hit, and things really it does not at all surprise me that was not on the top of, Jeff and Vin's list to bring to our attention. However, and I think the fact of I don't care what the conversation was before we had to shut down all the schools, because before we had to shut down all the schools, the world looked like a very different place. As soon as that happened, though, this position, it becomes really in, just not where I think where we should be spending any money. And so I'm not actually, I don't care when people found out. I don't care when we should have known maybe, but even if we had, that would not change my view that this money spent in this way this year is not right. I mean, it's just not the right use of the resources. I also don't know, and to Tony's point, and I don't think it matters. I mean, if they upped or if they lessened the cut that they were going to pass on to us by 42,500 so that we could absorb this 42,500, I guess that has some bearing, but not a lot. I'm not convinced that we should be spending any money like this. So I'm done.
Thank you, Catherine. Anne.
Hi, yeah, in regards to the 42,500, I absolutely see a reason for this. And in theory, I agree it's a good idea and would love to be cooperative and support it. However, I honestly think that we need to delay that expenditure for at least another year because we are dealing with extenuating circumstances with our budget going into next year. We don't know all the expenditures that we're going to have related to the closing of our schools and getting schools started back up. We don't even know what the situation is going to look like in terms of how many kids are going to be allowed to come to school and what it's going to look like. It's going to be different. And so for all those unknown reasons, I won't be able to approve this budget with that expenditure added to it. At a time when we are letting teachers go and we are going to have expenses that we're going to need to cover. And I agree with Ms. Hallen. This is not a priority in these tough budget times. Thank you.
Thank you, Anne. Let's see, who is next? Faith, you had a question.
Just real fast, I look at how long it took us not to hire the security manager. I mean, we've been looking for one for at least a year, maybe. They've just put out the RFP for this position. Is there a chance that they will not hire this person this year and it will be rolled over? Do we know that?
I don't know that.
Okay. And can I follow? Is there any way we could persuade, convince, have the, let the town council bring them to the light of day that this is probably not the year to be doing this? Or just, I don't know.
Okay, thank you, Faith. Let's see. Tim, I'm gonna skip you for a second because Andrew hasn't spoken yet. So Andrew, why don't you go ahead?
Thank you. Sorry, Tim. Well, since I am a construction project manager, I just want and I chair the planning committee. So there are a lot of projects that we are doing, a lot of projects, and Rich and Vin have done a great job getting them out to bid and getting things moving. But the fact of the matter is that there were projects that were approved last year that still have not gone into the construction phase. So there's money that's not being spent and projects that are not being done. So I do feel that by hiring this individual, it could help streamline that process. I don't necessarily agree with the fact that we didn't know about this during the budget season, seeing that we had multiple nights of meetings and we didn't hear about this project. But just as an aside, if we are able to maintain the level of services for this budget, including this $42,500, then I would be in support of it.
Thank you, Andrew. Let's see. Okay, Tim, you had a question.
Yeah, sorry, my son was with me just a second ago. He's got to be heading off to bed. I apologize. I got distracted. Come back to me in a minute. Let me gather my thoughts.
Sure.
If I can interject and make a small point of order. I know we're talking about the update from the meeting last night, and that's perfectly fine. And Adam, you could certainly go in more detail, but we can certainly get into a much deeper discussion on the details in a motion. I think we're heading that way, but just be mindful, Matt, if that's where you want to go, we can certainly go more depth on the line items and this particular topic as well. Just a heads up.
Thank you. Well, on that note, I'll reserve my comment for the actual motion discussion because it looks like Anne was, I guess, commenting directly to Faith here. When we do we have to read that into the record, or is that just assumed when it shows up on the screen? Can anyone, does, I don't know.
I'm happy to read it. She's just pointing out that we are letting the town know in no uncertain terms that, well, she's saying not accepting the expenditure. I will vote for it, but as I said, I'm not appreciative of the process, but that's, so for the record, that's what Anne had told me, so.
Okay, thank you, Faith. All right, so we had it was sent to us earlier, I believe today, after the revisions are made. We had two particular motions. I believe that the one that we're discussing, the budget revisions that Vin and Jeff just went through, I believe is the second motion. Could
Point of
Jeff-
order, if I may. The motion passed last night is the motion we need to make and put on the table first. And just a point of order for, yeah, I'm sorry, just a little, little point. I wonder if the audience, if you have people watching, just so you know, in last night's finance committee meeting, we had a motion that detailed several line items. And during that discussion, we asked Dr. Solon and Vincent and Tina to go back and kind of look at a few other things. But considering that we need to pass this tonight for at least for contractual obligations with our labor to get them some contracts, as if we had any changes, the procedure is, you have the original motion tonight, and once the original motion is on the table and seconded, it's up for discussion. At that point, any point thereafter, a board member can make an amendment to the motion on the table and make the amendment to change the line item. So in order to move forward on this, someone has to make the first motion, second it, and then we can get into the amendment.
Okay, then I will make the first motion. Okay, so the first motion, which was passed, and I believe I have to read all of the line items, all the adjustments. Is that correct? Yeah. Okay. Thank you. All right. So the motion that was approved last night coming out of the Finance Committee, moved that the Cheshire Board of Education approve budget reductions as outlined in the superintendent's correspondence to the board of June 3rd, 2020, totaling $908,628 to reduce the Board of Education's recommended budget for 2020-2021 of $75,502,554 to the funding level appropriated by the Cheshire Town Council of $74,593,926 as follows. So for certified salaries, there is a decrease of $530,500. There is a net reduction in non-certified salaries of $159,300. Okay, that is an increase to employee benefits of $98,872. A decrease to instructional expense of $224,875. A reduction in support services of $10,000. A reduction in maintenance and operations of $82,825, for a total net decrease of $908,628. Is there a second?
Second.
Catherine seconds. So now we can enter into discussion. Again.
Well,
Somebody's got to
amend, if I may.
motion. Yeah.
Make the motion to amend, and then we get into the discussion.
Okay. Faith, go ahead.
Okay, let me just, do I need to read everything or just say I make a motion to amend the
No, it has to be very specific. So yeah, that second motion, that would be the,
Correct, because our second motion has the change detailed line items in there that we have to read. So yes, you have to read the whole thing. Sorry.
Wow, I wasn't taking notes.
Hey, it was sent to us earlier. Do you,
So we want I have the new one. Okay.
Okay.
Sorry.
It's okay, Faith. We haven't done this type of procedure, just for point of order. We haven't done this type of procedure in quite some time, so.
Okay, let me see where I put this guy. Okay, so I move to amend the proposed budget reductions. Oh boy, I'm gonna botch this. Let's raise this up. To include the following reductions. $450,500 from teachers.
A certified salary account.
From the yes, so, yeah, $75,000 from the instructional assistant account. 15,000 from the pupil services account. 30,000 from the pupil transportation account, and 10,000.
I gotta have a point of order. I don't think that's the correct motion.
No, okay. Okay.
No, Faith, it's okay. Listen, we pause here. We got a lot of documentation today. It's perfectly fine. Don't worry. With someone else who has a motion up in front of them, can you please make that?
Yes, please do.
Thank you. Adam, you can actually amend your motion. Or Catherine, I'm not sure who raised their hand first. I apologize.
I would like to amend the original motion, or my original motion, to adjust the account line items as follows. The ending amount would remain the same, but the line items would be adjusted differently. For certified salaries, it would be a decrease of, do I have to, it would change from a reduction of $530,500 to a reduction of $450,500. Non-certified salaries would change from a reduction of $159,300 to a reduction of $184,300. Employee benefits would remain the same. Instructional expense would change from a reduction of $224,875 to a reduction of $239,875. Support services would change from a reduction of $10,000 to a reduction of $50,000. And maintenance and operations would remain the same for a still a combined total reduction of $908,628. Is there a second?
Second.
Excellent. The
Catherine,
amended motion
seconds.
is now on the table.
Right.
Okay, discussion begin again. Or is there any discussion? We had discussion before, but if there's further comment, please. I see Tim's hand, and please raise your hand in the comment section again, so I can just keep track of everyone. Tim, go ahead. For some reason, can anyone hear him? No. So
we can't hear you, Tim.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
Technical difficulty.
Did he get disconnected?
No, well,
no.
He's there.
Yeah. No, still
Nothing yet. Tim. We see the video, but no audio. You can type in the comments if you want to.
All right, come back. Okay.
Go back to Tim.
All right. Is there any additional comment, or is there any further discussion besides? Oh, let's see, Mr. White left the meeting there momentarily. Does anyone else have further comment?
I would just, I believe in the update from last night's meeting, correct if I'm wrong, I think we discussed what some of the changes we'd like to see would entail. Did we clarify that in this amended motion, exactly what changed? Jeff, I'm sorry, was I?
Yeah, we talked about exactly what would change a little bit earlier on when Ben was showing the highlighted changes. Just to recap very quickly, 80,000 increase in the staff line to cover that position, reduction of another IA because of the additions of the special ed staff, $30,000 reduction in transportation due to extended school year service cancellations, a $10,000 savings in gasoline due to that locked in gasoline price, and a $15,000 reduction in our consulting pupil services line, again, due to those addition of special ed positions. That's the quick recap.
Got it. I'll try to stretch this out a little bit so Tim gets back in time when we get to a vote on.
And it looks like Ann was just clarifying something about the chat. The chat's as part of the recording, so.
Yeah, they are.
Reference, yeah.
Right. We're on the YouTube live streaming, so it's out there.
Yeah. Well, if I could just make a comment, that I guess the reason why we just did that amendment was to preserve that one position at the high school that we all felt was necessary, as I said before, not that the positions at the middle school are not necessary. And I know several of the board members had expressed their hopes that those positions could also be preserved. Jeff, could you just explain a little more the shuffle that's going to occur? Because I know you had talked about bumping and all that kind of stuff. So what is the net result of what we are trying to do here tonight?
Yeah, thanks. Well, we have 400 positions, so it's kind of often in a state of flux. If people take positions in other schools, retire, at this time of year there is some shuffling that occurs with these positions that we're reducing, specifically at Dodd, the reduction of that half team in the 7th grade. That one of those teachers is a math teacher who will bump into a math opening at Dodd. The other is a English teacher who will go to Cheshire High School. That will leave one teacher out because we're down one teacher there. Because of seniority.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification.
Sure.
Mr. White, you are back. Did you want to ask a question or a comment? No, I think he's waving off there. Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, seeing that there is no further comment.
Tim, I was not able to hear you, Tim. I'm sorry.
Oh, wait, did you want to, Tim, you want to type something instead before we go to a vote? Uh-oh. He's like me a few weeks ago. My computer completely bombed out. Yeah. Well, if it's really important, you have the time now to Catherine, go ahead. I see your hand.
I just have a question. Are there any public comments? Do we?
On the budget? Correct. Not on the budget. No.
We don't do public comment on the budget?
Well,
or no,
when
nobody's.
the motion is made on an agenda item, yeah, we would typically, but there's nothing specific to this. There's one other one that I think we'll read later about executive orders.
Okay.
When we get, because we have another public comment section later.
So the only reason I asked, because we all had gotten an email from Mr. Bester, and I didn't know if that was something that I should.
Okay, yeah, I was
summarize or anything like that.
Yeah, I guess you could. Would be a comment that would typically be made, I guess, during this motion.
Yeah, I don't see any issues, specifically because it's finance related. If you want to just bring that up, that does apply to this.
Yeah,
motion.
okay. So if, I'll wait till after Tim is gonna ask or not ask his question. Is he,
The
okay.
one time we don't want Tim to be quiet.
Catherine, why don't you go ahead and read that into the record?
Okay. I will summarize this because he didn't ask for it to specifically be read word for word, but the general, it's a letter to the members of the Board of Education from Jack Bester at 45 Tress Road. And he essentially says that he's deeply troubled that the town council, which supposedly defers to the BOE in determining where cuts in education are made, has imposed an additional $42,500 administrative expense at a time when the BOE has already been asked to grapple with a $960,000 cut from their budget request. In reality, that brings the overall town council cut to the BOE to over $1 million. I understand that this budget may have been more challenging than in the past, and that the town council members have worked hard to stay within its desired zero increase mill rate. But let's be honest and transparent, this $42,500 is earmarked to share costs associated with the anticipated townwide, including school building plans, a decidedly central office administrative expense. And then he goes on to say that because we don't know what is going to be on the, what we'll have on our plate in the fall because of COVID-19, this is not the time to incur a $42,500 non-instructional expense, essentially. I apologize, Mr. Bester, for not reading it, the whole thing.
Thank you, Catherine. Tim, looks like we now have you on 2 screens. This is very high tech now, I guess.
Sorry, can you hear me on this one?
Yes, absolutely. Go ahead.
Great. Okay, thank you. So I noticed if I caught it correctly before I got locked out by technology, I don't know if everybody actually knew the right budget that we were working off of right now, and so I'm just curious. When did we receive the email specifically with this budget?
About 10:30 this morning. I mentioned in the finance meeting last night that I would send it at before 11 o'clock this morning.
Yeah. Okay.
Send it about.
Okay, so this is all right. So 10:42. Yeah, that's what I'm looking at. Okay, thank you. All right. Yeah.
That's the amended motion right now.
Yeah. Okay. With regard to the construction project manager, I've mentioned it before. I don't know if it was ever actually during like an official meeting, but basically we look at the board has 5 or 6 rows that we control, and within each row you can move money around. Is that right? You have the authority to do that.
Yeah, I mean, we could move between really any line, but there's really limited flexibility with most of the lines,
Okay.
But, yeah, we move between lines, and at the end of the year, at the last fiscal year close, we can, finally solidify everything to close the budget year.
All right. So, but what we're doing right now, I don't know if there was a motion to eliminate that or anything like that, because I lost.
There was
the
not.
meeting. There was not. Okay. So anyway, but my point is you're getting a sense from people as, questioning whether we move forward, and you still have flexibility. It doesn't even necessarily need to happen, even if we do vote on this budget tonight. Is that fair to say?
Do we have to give the town the money if we vote to approve this for that position?
Yes.
I don't know that we would be cutting them a check tomorrow or anything like that.
Okay.
Somebody had mentioned earlier, and I apologize for not recalling who, but who knows if, I think it may have been Faith, that if this position even gets hired for 6 months, and if that case, we would be prorating, I think, that money. So we're not cutting a check tomorrow.
Yeah, but I mean, even any position, if you all of a sudden end up with 300 kindergartners, 300 additional unexpected kindergartners, you can move your budget around.
Yeah, I would have to.
I mean, things can move.
And we do.
So it's okay.
Yep.
So that was the simple point that I wanted to make. So were we about to vote on a budget right now?
On the amended motion, which includes the 1030, 1045, whatever it was, budget that Adam read the amendment to. That was the amended motion, the 1045 version.
Okay, so if we vote on this right now, then we're done with our budget for the year.
Correct.
Right now, tonight.
Correct.
Okay, so then I just want to reiterate what I had said last night, that I do have strong concerns about the budget, and I'm planning to support it right now, but I do have really strong concerns. One concern is with regard to the retirement incentive. We are shifting a problem from us to the state budget because that increases an already underfunded state teacher's pension. And I don't like that, but my number one priority is to the Cheshire schools right here, right now. Also, what we're doing with this budget, and correct me if I'm missing something here, Jeff, but we are using a one-time reserve that you created in relation to COVID this year of 1.1 million.
No, I don't think so. I mean, is the town? I mean, not as a board of education. We are giving the town $1.2 million. We are asking the town to hold 200,000 in a later motion on our behalf, because this budget does not include what we anticipate to be a significant cost related to COVID in the 2021 year. So when we turn the calendar to the next fiscal year in July, there will be costs that we incur that we will need to cover that aren't part of our regular operating budget. So that's that money. I don't know if that answers your question.
No, I understand that. With regard to the bigger number, the 1 billion basically in savings that you found this year in relation to transportation and a number of other things, 1.2 million, whatever. The point is, it's a one-time reserve. So we're basically creating, from my perspective, we are creating a hole that we will need to, or the council would need to dig out of further next year. I don't care for doing that. I can support this. Like I said, I can support this motion, but I do view that as a serious concern for me. So I just offered that we do still have another possibility on the table to maintain services, which is that I, as one of 7, am open to discussion of contracts. And I look at it, and I think the number I saw today was in the past two or 3 months, whatever, since COVID lockdown, 42 million people were unemployed. A lot of people have taken pay cuts. People have gotten no raises. They're just not going to get them for the next 12 months. And I would be like to hear more from particularly the teachers, because that's the biggest part of the budget, the biggest part of the increase, but also from the other unions too, about the possibility of no raise next year in exchange for no layoffs. I don't know if it'll happen, but I think we're going to have an even bigger hole next year and a bigger problem next year is what I'm thinking too. So I just wanted to put that out there so people heard that.
Yeah. Okay.
That's it. Thank you, Adam.
Thank you, Tim. Well, all right. I was going to comment, but I'll have the comment go first. Let's see. We had Anne, I believe you came up first. Go ahead.
So I would just add to what Tim was saying that we have to approve this $908,000 budget, because that's the number that was given to us. So what we're discussing tonight, somebody can clarify for me if I'm wrong. So what we're discussing tonight is how we're going to make up that from our budget request. It's not about asking the teachers to give up some more of their compensation. Sure, that negotiation can happen, and it would perhaps save us money. but I just wanted to reiterate that I don't think that we should be going to the teachers and asking them to renegotiate their raises for next year. They're under contract, and you know, they've given so much in this crisis, so much of their time and their skills, and being there for the students and being there for the schools in general. So my real objection to this budget cut is simply that one line of an added expenditure of 42,000, and that, if that stays in any amended version, I will not be supporting this this budget. Thank you.
Sorry. Thank you, Ann. Tony, you had comment.
Catherine, were you ahead of us, or is that an older? Okay, thank you. I'm sorry. So, I know for folks watching, there's a lot of information in just the last 20 or 30 minutes on this topic. Before we vote, I just wanted to add my final thoughts on this budget. So, for the record, yes, we're talking about a net reduction to our increase of $908,628. Our total budget going into 2020, 2021 is going to be $74,593,926. So I just want to put it out there that we are getting an increase. You know, granted, it's not what we discussed at length back in January. And again, who knew back then what would happen in a couple of months? I just want to say, I certainly don't fault the town council. This is not a situation where, you know, town council's, you know, trying to, you know, pinch a penny. We've seen that happen many times in the past, way in the past. This is different. We don't like doing this. When I say we, it's the board and the town council and the town government. We want to preserve jobs. We don't want to impact services. We don't want to impact our education in any way, shape, or form. You know, these are tough things to look at. And, you know, I would love nothing more if we lost no staff in this budget. Unfortunately, it just can't happen. There's really nowhere else to go. It is that tight. And as Dr. Solon alluded to earlier, you know, we don't know what's going to come up with the reopening and COVID. Is going to be more expensive. So, you know, I don't want to be negative and not support this. You know, part of me says, yeah, this is a tough one. It definitely is. And yeah, I can assure all our stakeholders out there that the board, especially administration, is going to do all they can to ensure that we're still going to give a quality education as best we can next year. So I will absolutely support this budget. We need to move forward on this. And, you know, as far as, you know, the other position, I'll sort of reach out to the town council and just, you know, to have that dialogue so that, you know, next time it's less of an issue, if at all. In some ways, it's a mixed blessing for me. I approved the budget. I got to tell you early on, based on the indicators we've seen, you know, around town so far, I thought it would be a little less than this. And that truly would have made it quite interesting of what we had. So, and the last thought is, you know, I don't enjoy reaching out to our collective bargaining units for help, especially during this time. It is tough. So I appreciate the fact that they've been keeping an open mind on this. And please, I hope for our employees that are watching, we just want to make sure that we have you here through the next couple of years without fear of losing your positions. And I don't want to strike fear in anybody, of course, but, you know, next year, I do believe, when I say next year, 21, 22, I think from an economic point of view, it's a little tougher. I'm wrong, but we want to write this out together. And so just do know that we're all trying to work together to make this happen. And I thank everyone. I thank Jeff and team for all your work on this. It's been a long journey. I thank the town council for all their involvement. So I will support this. And that's all I had to say on this, Adam. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Let's see, who is Tim? Go ahead.
Thanks, Adam. Yeah, I just wanted to, I didn't say it before, I forgot to say it. I apologize for that, but Anne reminded me in her comments. I appreciate the efforts of the teachers and everything that they've done. The IAs who've been doing work at the Dodd food distribution. I appreciate all the efforts that employees have made over the last couple of months. They have been great. At the same time, as I was mentioning before, a lot of people have taken hits, if not unemployment, they've taken hits to their wages in some fashion, or just no raise people are getting. And I think that basically anybody who's fortunate enough to have a job today, after through these past 2 months, everybody, maybe not everyone, but most people have made huge strides or huge efforts in making stuff happen. People I talk to, friends I have, people I work with, I know that has happened. For me personally, I pretty much since March, I told my boss, with my 4 and 5-year-olds at home, I don't work a 9-to-5 job anymore. I said, I'll get my job done. You cannot expect me to be working 9 to 5. And then I work, 9 p.m. to 1 a.m. is like a typical shift for me. And that's not a complaint in any way. I'm very happy to have my job. There's no slight towards the teachers in any way or anybody else. It's just a matter of, I just feel like this is the reality that we need to deal with. And my goal is to maintain services. And as Tony said, keeping everybody employed, that means a lot to me for people to have a job. And I've been saying that for the past couple of months in these meetings. It really does mean a lot to me. So I appreciate what the superintendent has done over the last couple of months. So I just go back to what I said before, and I hope that there is some further discussion about it. Thank you, Adam.
Thank you, Tim. And before I call for a vote, I guess I'll add my final comment. As many of you know, I've been a Board of Education budget hawk for many years. So I appreciate the reductions that Jeff and team have really put forward here. And I recognize that this is really down to the bottom of the barrel, where the reductions that are in this budget right now that we potentially will be voting in favor for really gets down to the bottom. And as I said during the combined budget meetings between the Board of Ed and the Town Council, my concern is that that we've used these what essentially is one-time savings to preserve as many staff and services as possible for the 2021 year. But my concern wasn't necessarily even for next year, is for the year after that, 21-22. I know that the governor's already stated that we are potentially in a deficit of over $4 billion. And that could potentially mean an additional reduction potentially to our ECS funding or any of the other additional funding that we get as part of our town funding. And that could potentially mean an additional $1 million reduction to our increase or our budget next year. And as I think as we did the calculations, if we had, since we've used all of basically our savings this year, that means if we had to do this again, that means positions in 21-22. So I just wanted to publicly state that 21-22 is as much sleep as we may have lost this time, lamenting over what we have to do this year. It could be much worse next year. I hope it's not, but just know what we do now preserves us for at least 1 year. We know that the reopen in the fall could be bumpy. Maybe it won't be. Maybe it'll be great. But at least for me, I'll definitely be supporting this budget amendment with the thought of looking into the future, knowing that there's not a lot left there. So thank you for that indulgence. And Anne, you had a response. Go ahead.
Sure. I just want to say in response to what you were just saying, Adam, that make no mistake, $1 million reduction from what we requested for our budget for next year is hurting our educational system. It is hurting our instruction and what we're allowed to be able to do. And I do think it is going to get worse, but we don't have to year after year take these reductions to our proposed budgets from the town. It's happened every single year that I've been on the board. And granted, that's only 5 years, but I was attending budget meetings prior to when I got on the board, and it seemed like it happens every year. It doesn't matter if it's COVID-19, it doesn't matter. There's always some reason to put our education budget at risk. And for that reason, I cannot support an extra expenditure of $42,000 for an administrative project manager. It's money that could and must be spent on other parts of our budget, our operations for next year. Thank you.
Thank you, Ann. Is there any other further comment on this motion? Okay, seeing none. Do I need to read the motion again? Okay. Then all in favor of the motion that was read several minutes ago? All in favor?
The amended motion.
I'm sorry, the amended motion. The
That's
amended
the
motion.
current motion on the table.
The amended motion on the table. Make sure we get all the words correct. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
2, 3. Tony, did you vote?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
Aye. 4. That's 5. Okay, 5-4 against. 2 against. Okay, so that's 5-4, 2 against. Thank you, everyone.
Who was for or who was against? I can't see. I don't know. I'm just curious.
Let's see. Mr. Perugini, Mrs. Ham, Mr. Martelli, Mr. White, and myself.
Okay.
Opposed,
Thank you.
Ms. Harrigan, Ms. Hallen. Okay.
Mr. Grippo, can I just have 2 seconds?
Go right ahead.
And I don't want to belabor this, but I wanted to thank you guys, for your work throughout a lengthy and unprecedented budget process. I also just want to take a second to thank Vin and Marlene and our administrators who really, this is really unprecedented for us as well. So many different things to consider. I'd be remiss if I didn't also, particularly Tracy Hussey and Mary Gadd, Mike Woods. I was on the phone with so many different administrators after last night's meeting. It was late. It's been a long week. Vin and Marlene and I met again this morning. A lot of effort, and I just want to single out members of our team that have really worked hard to try and put this together for our kids and community and for you. So I just want to thank them publicly. Thank you for that indulgence, Mr. Grippo.
No problem. Okay. We're now moving on to a motion number or item number 4 in the finance section. This was a motion to approve an internal control and operational review. Just to review, on March 12th, we had a meeting with the administrators of the, I guess, the largest student activity accounts that would have been for the high school, the Dodd Middle School, and Highland School. And they gave us an overview of their the internal controls that they use to oversee the expenditures of the student activity funds that are given generously by parents and sometimes students, and through their fundraising efforts to support all of the extracurricular activities that all of our students are involved in every year. And normally that amounts to around $1 million every year in and out. That's additional money that's contributed by the parents normally and their supporters every year. That's not part of the taxes that they pay to the school, for example. And so this internal control review and operational review is meant to assure that the internal controls that the school administrators were, for lack of a better term, testifying to. We want to make sure that not only are they that they work in practice, but that also we have noticed that on the policy side that the actual policy that controls those or that dictates those internal controls has not been updated since 1997, and we want to make sure that if we make any revisions to that policy, that we are doing them in accordance with current accepted accounting principles and GASB rules. So with that said, I would like to make this motion. I move that the Cheshire Board of Education approve an internal control and operational review of student activity funds, including the high school, middle school, and 5 elementary schools, the turf and educational program special revenue funds, excluding grants, adult education, and summer school activities, and Board of Education general fund expenditure credits to determine if internal controls are adequate and that activity is being properly reported. The review should include identification of all sources of revenue and testing of expenditures, focusing on but not limited to larger transactions to determine if policies and procedures are being adhered to. Upon completion, a formal report should be issued detailing results of the procedures performed. Do I have a second for the motion?
I can second. I can handle a second.
Thank you, Faith. So with that second, we'll enter into discussion on the motion. Is there discussion on the motion? Let's see. I saw Catherine. I saw your hand first, then we'll go to Ann. Go ahead, Catherine.
Okay. Oh, okay. So, you know, this motion, so I want to clarify something, that this motion is, there is really no need for this motion. This was part of what was included in an RFP for the town audit. And it's already out there, and the RFP is out there. This is the language that's in the RFP apparently. And I feel, you know, I'm not sure why we need to, as just a matter of procedure, vote on a motion that has no effect, really. So that's one thing. Secondly, I think that this is going to cost money, which is not horrible, but that's an additional expense that the board is going to have to fund. And we don't really know yet, I don't think, what the cost is because, you know, the quotes haven't come in or whatever. So it also feels a little bit open-ended in that way. Finally, the formal report that's going to be issued, shouldn't that be specifically issued to the Board of Ed for, you know, whatever action we want to take on it? Or because it just says it will be issued, and I don't understand where that means it goes. So those are my questions, comments, concerns. Thank you.
Thank you, Kat. Ann, I'll let you comment first before I respond. Go ahead.
Yeah, so my comments are pretty much in line with Ms. Hallen's. I'm uncomfortable with this motion for this same couple of reasons, and they are why, because the motion is very specific, and when this is actually all going to happen, might we have a different idea of how to do it? And we don't know what it's going to cost. And I mean, it seems to me that the time to have this motion is, and I would preface everything that I'm saying with, I think it's a really good idea to have this audit on those accounts. I just don't think now is the right time. I think the time is when we know more about what it's going to cost and where we stand at that time. And I don't see any reason to bind our hands right now with this motion by passing a motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Ann. Tim, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Adam. Just on the comment with regard to it being a symbolic vote, I mean, we did that just earlier tonight with the Darcy principal. It was a symbolic vote. I mean, I don't ever see the need for them, but to me, it's okay having symbolic votes. And yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Tony.
Thank you, Adam. So I don't want to spend so much time on this topic. We got a lot more stuff to get through, but it is an important one. I agree we need this. It's just you know, I don't expect to find anything wrong at all, but we want to update our policies and just, you know, some cleanup work there. I think this will help a lot. I reached out to Chairman Orris earlier today on town council about this, and he wasn't quite sure if it was decided who would be paying for it. So, you know, what we could recommend, again, we need to have a discussion. I'm pretty confident that they'll pick up the expense because it might be fairly small, but again, given the discussion we just had earlier on the position and other things, one of the things that, you know, if folks are uncomfortable voting on this, then, you know, we'll see how this goes. One of the things we could do is make a motion to postpone this motion indefinitely. It was essentially a motion and takes off the table permanently. We can bring it up later, perhaps at another time, maybe at our June 30th Board of Education Finance meeting, where hopefully by then we'll have some answers to the question of what it will cost and who will pay for it, if that's something that's really on people's minds. Otherwise, you know, the other thing too is, as I think Catherine said earlier, is, you know, it's quotes haven't come back in yet. You know, when they come back in, you know, I'm sure the town council said, we told the town council that if the cost, again, is too high, we could opt out of it and not do it. We opt out of it. But, you know, there's some options here. Nonetheless, I'm pretty sure this is going to happen one way or another as part of the general town-wide audit. So I would hope the town council picks up, but the town staff picks up in their budget, but I'd like to know, just for sake of clarity in our budget. But just putting that out there, something to consider.
Thank you, Tony. Andrew, go ahead.
Sure. Symbolic vote or not, I just think that there's a lot of money in these accounts that cover all the schools. This is money paid in by families and students, and I don't see why we wouldn't want to make sure that internal controls are being followed and that proper procedures are in place.
Thank you, Andrew. Let's see, Tim, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to know the payment for this, and I think I might have a second right here. Tony, I don't know Robert's rules that well. What I'd like to do is offer a motion to table this.
Yeah, let me point of order on that, just so you know, it would require 2/3 majority vote to have that passed. The table.
What's that, 5?
Yeah, and there's a difference between tabling a motion and tabling indefinitely. If we table it indefinitely, it's completely off the table, and, you know, it doesn't come back up at a later time, which is the safest way to do that. That way, in June 30th, if there's another motion, we'll bring it up then. And Jeff, if I'm wrong, please correct me. I'm pretty sure that's the procedure.
Yeah. Okay, so then I make a motion. Try to read my mind here. I make a motion to table indefinitely, and if we want to discuss it, we can. I make a motion to table this indefinitely.
There
are. Is that Ann's screen froze? Is that a hand for a second? A second. Okay. All right. So there's a second for a motion to table indefinitely the the audit motion that I brought forward earlier. So now we will have discussion on the
There's no discussion on a
tabling indefinite.
indefinitely. It goes right to a vote.
Oh, it goes right to a vote. There's no discussion. Okay. All right. Well then, so there's a motion to table indefinitely. All in favor? I will too. What the heck? All right. So we have just moved to table this motion indefinitely, and without further comment.
Yeah, and we'll hopefully bring it up at a later time when we have somebody
Yes,
answer it.
absolutely, yes. Because I think we all concur that it's important to do, but that there's still a couple of unknowns. Let's see. And before we move on, it looks like Catherine, you had a comment. Go ahead.
Yeah, and just kind of speak to Andrew's comment. I was not suggesting that it wasn't important to audit these accounts or make sure that everything is copacetic. I was arguing about the procedure more than anything. So I just want to clarify that for the record, that I was not in any way suggesting that we should just never pay attention to these accounts or anything. So that's all.
Thank you, Catherine. Okay. And yeah, and I agree as well. There are a couple of unknowns here as well. I've been a proponent of this audit, but at the same time, there are still a couple of things that hopefully could be clarified. Vin, I believe you said that the bids will be open at some point in the next week or so. Is that correct?
From memory, the date was June 9th.
June 9th. So we will have more clarity before June 30 is what we could potentially know.
Yes.
More costs and that sort of thing. Okay. Thank you, Vin. So what else? Okay. So next we have a very important motion. Approval of request for deposit of non-lapsing education fund. Would anyone like to make that motion?
I'll make the motion. Is that okay?
Yes, go ahead.
All right. I move that the Board of Education request the Town Council to deposit $200,000 of unexpended funds from the 2019-2020 operating budget into a non-lapsing unexpended education funds account pursuant to Connecticut General Statutes 10-248A and Board of Education Policy number 3171.1, non-lapsing education fund.
Thank you. Is there a second? Ann, sorry, Ann seconds. Is there discussion on the motion? Is there any discussion on this motion?
No.
Okay, seeing none. All in favor of the motion to deposit 200,000? Looks like, well, Tim isn't here, so I guess what would we? Oh, wait.
Here's Tim.
Hold on, Tim. Can you hear us, Tim? This is a little unusual. Tim.
Hey.
All right. So if you see all of our hands up here, we are voting to in support of the motion to transfer 200,000. You may see it on your agenda there. Okay, Tim. All right. So we have a unanimous vote. Thank you, Tim. Excellent. And it is my pleasure to report that this concludes the Finance Committee portion of this agenda.
Finance is out of its misery.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for all of your support and patience.
I'm gonna need a second, just get back to the agenda, and I'm doing that while I'm talking. But first of all, I want to again thank the board, everyone, staff, administration for this process. As folks are watching, you can see this is not easy. A lot of things to consider. So thank you. That does end the Finance Committee report. Andrew, you are up next. We are on Planning Committee.
I don't know how I'm going to follow up with that one. But I'll try to keep this as brief and concise as possible. Vin, I might lean to you right before the motions. So out of our planning committee meeting on Tuesday evening, there'll be two motions I will vote on after I go through our summary here. First item that we discussed was JK Energy, also known as JK Energy Resources USA. They had performed some energy work over at Cheshire High School last summer, which included some work for the steam piping installation as well as Cheshire High School LED lighting replacement. After they completed that work, they did a full assessment of our school buildings, and they came up with several projects to include work at all the elementary schools as well as over at Dodd Middle School, which as a result will lead to 99% of all of our lighting within our school buildings being LED. I'll get into the actual funding of how that will work later on after I go through the other projects. After that, we heard an update on stadium lighting replacement at Cheshire High School, which is also JK Energy. So currently there's metal halide lighting at the main football field. This project has already been approved, is being awarded to JK in an amount of $150,000. The actual cost to the town is $126,314 after reduction of $13,000 in energy savings from Eversource. There is a 30-foot candle standard required at the football field, which we are not meeting now with our current lighting array. And so this project will result in us meeting that requirement. Energy savings for the district will be $2,873, but more importantly, $3,500 in maintenance costs for those old lights will be saved by the town. We heard an update on 15 different projects, which are either under construction or will be under construction in the next year, district-wide. This ranges from underground tank removal at the elementary schools to window replacements over at Cheshire High School, flooring replacements, paving, and other projects all over the board. Some of these are still in the design phase, and then they will be put out to bid and construction will take place. There was an update on capital projects that were delayed, one of which had come before us earlier, which was Cheshire High School ADA compliance for the door realignments within the high school. In our joint board of ed and town council meeting, we heard that project, there was only one bidder that was submitted, and so they asked that project go back out to bid, as well as for the security upgrades, the people traps at the elementary school. I believe it was at Chapman School, as well as Dodd Middle School. Correct me if I'm wrong, Vin.
Norton and Chapman.
Norton and Chapman.
Sorry.
So that work is being delayed, as well as the Doolittle boiler project, which will be done, but there's a tank that needs to be removed, and then that work will take place. The other item that we heard about was Performance Environmental. Performance Environmental is the private contractor that provides cleaning services to all the district schools. Performance Environmental has been with us since 2014. There is a motion before us tonight to extend their contract for 1 year for 2020 to 2021, beginning in July. That number there is a 5.5% increase from their base contract, which will raise it from approximately $682,000 to $719,000. That full contract cost is still below the 2017-2018 budget for cleaning services for the district. And they have been, from what Rich and Vin and others I've heard in the district have said, they've been providing us with superior service, especially in light of the COVID-19 response with upping the cleaning protocols within the schools. There will be a savings which will be realized, which I'll have Vin talk about in a little bit. In regards to the fact that our staff has performed a lot of the maintenance and cleaning services early on. So there'll be about $103,000 reduction in their contract. So that's the overall update for the planning committee. Then there are two motions. And so now I just kind of want to get back into the JK Energy proposal. So I had mentioned that JK was going to be doing work district-wide at our elementary and middle school. Their project in total will be $139,000. This includes LED lighting at Dodd, Highland, Doolittle, Chapman, Darcy, and Norton, as well as refrigeration controls at Highland and at Dodd. We are realizing savings through the energy conservation incentive of $53,921.60. The total cost to the district will be $85,175. And important, that will be paid back in 3.76 years. The $85,000 will come by way of a 5-year interest-free loan from Eversource. Is that correct, Vin?
That is absolutely correct.
Okay. So that's JK Energy. So I want to stop there because that's the first motion. So if there's any other questions, Vin, if you want to bring up any information, if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to.
Yeah, while you're speaking, I can show very quickly the the overall summary that we received today, which is updated. When we met with planning this week, the energy incentive that was reported was 32,000, and now there's an enhanced energy savings. So it went up to over $50,000. Just give me 1 second here. So I'm just going to show you the latest and the greatest document we received. So hopefully you could see my screen over here on the right side. As Andrew said, the project cost is $139,000. Eversource contributes $53,921 up front to the contractor after the work's done. So this $85,000 is the cost of the projects. The estimated cost savings annually from energy reduction is $22,661 a year. So in 5 years, actually, it's been changed to 4 years. In 4 years, when we complete paying the loan back, again, it's interest-free loan, the $22,661.71 is what we will benefit from in terms of energy savings. So in a nutshell, we're not laying out any cash for this project. The 5-year interest-free loan plus the energy incentive pay for it. And after 5 years, we continue to save $22,661 per year. And the fact that 99% of our school buildings will be powered by LEDs is a huge milestone. I think for us as a school district, we are reducing our lighting energy costs with this project by about 56.5% over where we are currently. And we're getting very, very good lighting in LED. The only other thing I'll add is that I think the board members all know in 2015, we did a fairly extensive energy performance contract with Amoresco. At that time, we upgraded to LED lighting in our classrooms and in our hallways. So this particular project will go back and retrofit everything that we weren't able to do during that time. Offices, storage rooms, auditoriums, gyms will all be converted to LED. That's the long and short of it, I think, unless there are any questions.
Questions? Anybody?
Oh yeah, just a quick one. Vin, did you say what was the difference or what popped up the savings from 30 to 50K?
Yeah, Eversource improved the incentive. And what happened is I reached out to JK Energy today just to, start generating the final paperwork because, as Andrew will explain, this does need council approval because we're borrowing money. The board doesn't have that authority. So in making that request, they informed me that there was just a change made and the paperwork that they sent reflected a $50,000 incentive on a $139,000 project, which is just terrific. So we'll take it.
Yeah. Thank you, Vin. The only other point that I just want to add is this is what, a 3.5-year payback or so?
Yeah, 3.7.
All right, so let's just say we move forward with school modernization, build a new building, and demo an existing building. We're still using that building for the next 2 to 3 years anyway, right? I mean, we're not getting a new building up in less than 2 years, I don't think.
No.
So in terms of I don't feel like there's any money being wasted here. I think this is a slam dunk. And also there are possibilities for more savings. If you're a homeowner and your residential bill, you probably know what kilowatt hours are. You don't pay for kilowatts, but commercial buildings do pay for kilowatts. There will be savings associated. It could be 1 penny. It could be more than that, but there's savings also here that we're not calculating into this $50,000 savings. As far as I know, it wasn't valued there a couple days ago. So thank you.
Any other questions? Could I call on Faith?
Yeah, I think I said questionnaire. Hey, just so I know, when will this project start and how long will it take to complete?
The goal is to have the work done over the summer, this summer.
Mhm. Yes.
Anybody else? Should I call for a motion now? Or just
Yes.
Yes, please.
would anybody like to make a motion?
I'll make the motion. I move that the Board of Education approves the recommendation to proceed with the energy improvement project with JK Energy and further to seek the required approval from the Cheshire Town Council for approval of the financing agreement.
Second. All in favor?
Everybody's hand was up, I think.
I can't see. Half of you guys are just the random. Unfortunately, I don't know why. Okay.
Everybody's
7-0 if you only count one of the Siamese Tims.
Yeah.
All right, I'm moving on. So we're going to move on to the item number 3 under Planning Committee, which is the approval of extension of agreement with Performance Environmental for cleaning services district-wide. So as I stated earlier, the Performance Environmental has gotten great reviews from the district. They've been cleaning the school facilities since July 1st, 2014. Their contract was rebid in 2018. The 2018 bid did realize savings of over $40,000. Vin, do you want to do the actual numbers for me? Would you be so kind?
I will do that.
All right, thank you.
So a couple of things that I will highlight. The first is that during the COVID-19 building closure period, we did suspend services with Performance Environmental, which they handled very graciously. So we did stop paying them from March 27th under their contract through just recently, we did have them start doing some cleaning services. Early on in the pandemic, they stepped up and did the disinfecting. They had to miss the Humiston Central Office building twice because we did have an employee that was COVID positive. So they've been very good during this period. The contract extension, the first 2 years of the contract after we bid it, their price was fixed at $682,488. So now that they're entering the third year of the contract, we did negotiate with them. One of the things that they explained is that when the minimum wage increase in the state of Connecticut went from $10.10 an hour to $11 per hour on October 1st, that negatively impacted them. And the minimum wage is going to $12 an hour this coming September 1st, which will also negatively impact them. We're not surprised by that. So what we did is we did negotiate and a 5.5% price increase seemed reasonable and responsible, frankly. They did not, raise our contracted rate on October 1st, 2019, but obviously we were under a contract. So the impact of that is that we'll go from 682,488 to a contract value of 719,784, assuming this is approved. However, the fact is that during this building closure period, our building maintainers went in and were doing the cleaning work for the summer that ordinarily we would hire Performance Environmental to do during the months of July and August. So we will not be needing Performance Environmental, to do that cleaning over the summer. And as we were negotiating with them, they're well aware of it and they agreed. So the contract reduction is 103,815 is what we're estimating. So although the full contract value is 719,784, the reality is for 2020-21, we're going to pay them 615,969. The only cautionary note that we did talk about it in planning, and that I'll share with the board members, is that we're not sure what 2020-21 will bring in terms of sanitizing, disinfecting, additional cleaning requirements. When the students return to school, we may need to do intraday cleaning of our bathrooms. And, if we cannot have our maintenance staff do it, we may hire Performance Environmental staff to do it. But regardless of that, from a financial point of view, based on the recommendation that was put forth and approved by planning, I think we have a good contractor. Absolutely support the extension of their contract, for the one additional year. And I think the increase that they requested was negotiated and works for us. So they are a fairly big firm, and they have a lot of resources. So when we do need any kind of special services or special cleaning, they are the type of firm that can rise to the occasion, and help us. So that is I think that really is all I can add at this point, Andrew.
And the owner is a Cheshire resident.
Yes, and certainly very interested in maintaining the quality of the cleaning that is done in our schools, and he takes it very, very seriously. They are very responsive as a firm. He has a good staff, good supervisory staff, and it's rare that he's needed to get involved, but if he does, the problem is resolved. And I think that is an important characteristic, of a firm. When an issue arises, if they resolve it and they're responsive, that's very important for us. And cleaning our schools is not an easy task. And we're in year 7, completing year 7 of our contract with them, and still very satisfied. They've actually gotten even better over the last 2 years. They did change out one of their supervisors, so we're quite satisfied.
Faith, did you have a question? No. Okay, I call
No,
for a
I'm sorry. I was on mute. No, that was from the last that was the last motion. We're good.
You're set?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. All right, is there a motion for an extension for the contract for Performance Environmental Cleaning Services?
I'll do the motion. I move that the Board of Education approves the extension of the contract with Performance Environmental LLC for the 2020-2021 fiscal year.
Is there a second?
Looks like Karen.
I second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Motion carried.
Oh, jeez.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, where are we? I thought for a second running downstairs and doing an espresso shot, but I couldn't make it in time. Up next, we have a policy committee update and report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. After that wonderful report from planning, I feel refreshed and ready to go for policy now. For policy, it was just reporting on our meeting from, I believe it was on Monday, if I recall correctly. It was one of our the shortest meetings in recent memory, I believe. Both of the policies that we discussed were to be up for a third and final reading. After a short discussion about policy 9130, we made a slight non-material tweak, which sort of loosened up the wording just a touch, just in case there was anything that we could not, in our great wisdom, could not foresee. So it allowed the policy to be a little more, give administration a little more leeway, or actually, well, give ourselves a little more leeway, because that's a Board of Ed committee direction there. So with that said, I would like to make a motion that the Cheshire Board of Education give a third and final reading to bylaws 9130 committees and 9321 time, place, notification, type of meetings. Let me read that again. Policy number 9321, time, place, notification, type of meetings. That's the title of the policy 9321. And direct the superintendent to put said policies into immediate effect. Catherine, you second?
Yep.
Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none. All in favor? Looks unanimous. Thank you. Motion passes.
Hey.
That's all I have for policy. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Adam. I think that was probably one of the quickest policy updates. Thank you. I believe we do have a report from School Modernization Committee.
Yep, I'm back.
And if you folks like to get up to speed, be very welcome.
Sure. Did you say Andrew? Or say Ann?
I said Andrew and Ian, but whoever's going in order, but the two representatives plus myself. I was not at the last meeting, but I know both of you were.
Okay, Ann, do you mind if I take it?
She's good with that.
Okay. She's frozen.
2 thumbs up, Andrew.
Okay, I'll start, and then if you want to add anything, just chime in whenever. So back on Monday night, June the 1st, we had our School Modernization Committee meeting via Zoom. We received a very detailed presentation from the out-of-district school tour subcommittee, which is comprised of Sylvia Nichols from Town Council, Matt Bowman, Rich Gustenberg, as well as Ann Harrigan. 4 district schools have been visited thus far. There were additional schools that they were seeking to visit. However, due to COVID-19, those have been postponed. Those school districts were North Haven, where they visited a renovated as new middle school, South Windsor, which is undergoing a multi 10-year 4-school new construction project, Guilford High School, which is new vertical construction, and then Platt High School in Meriden, which is a gut renovation as new. Basically what they looked at in each of the schools, they interviewed the different staff, toured the different support areas, cafeterias, classroom layouts, science labs, et cetera, to see what best to bring back to our district as we move forward with school modernization. One of the main takeaways was from South Windsor, where they met with the superintendent, who was a big proponent in ensuring that the staff, the community, and the Board of Education are all in on the discussion for school modernization moving forward. Presentation is available for review. There's great photos. There's all kinds of information in that. Those folks did a wonderful job with that for sure. Additionally, discussed Colliers, which is going to be our owner's rep on the project. There was negotiations that was done between Vin as well as that firm. Contract in the amount of $85,400, not to exceed amount for owner's project management services. I'm not sure if that has been signed yet. At the time of the meeting of June 1st, it had not been signed, but it should have been signed this week. Vin, has it been signed?
Not signed yet. There were we got their comments back and sent it to our attorney for review. So it's in legal.
Okay. So the attorney will bat that around for a little while, and then we'll have our long-awaited owner's rep on board. This past Tuesday on the 2nd, an RFP went out for a 10-year enrollment study. The enrollment study is going to be a key component for our strategies for our schools. And if we're going to be redistricting or moving any of the classrooms around. So once that firm is hired, they're looking at a 4 to 6 week turnaround to get that back, so then they could present that to the School Modernization Committee. After the meeting, there was an executive committee, which we just discussed some real estate matters, which I can't discuss now, but that'll be some information that'll be forthcoming to the group once we move forward with that. With that, Anne, if you have anything you'd like to add.
I think you did a great job, and in the interest of not prolonging this meeting any longer than we have to, I will forego any further comments on this.
Great, thank you. Anybody else have any questions or comments in regards to school modernization? All right, thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. We have no other standing committees to report. And on item number 6, I just want to make a point of order. I didn't realize until a few minutes ago that when we're talking about the consent calendar, while the consent calendar does list the tuition rates and the board meeting times, I believe, I inadvertently mentioned the meeting minutes as part of the consent calendar. So just want to clarify that what we voted for is for the consent calendar as presented. We did not vote for the meeting minutes, even though I mentioned that in my comments. I apologize. I was fumbling through a few screens. So I didn't realize what you guys, some of you were giving me earlier. Now I get it. So I apologize for that. In our packets, we do have the meeting minutes from the meeting held May 21st. Is there a motion to approve the minutes from that meeting?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion.
Thank you, Anna. Is there a second?
Well, does he have to make the motion?
Please make the motion.
Move that the Cheshire Board of Education approve the minutes of the Board of Education meeting held May 21st, 2020.
Now, is there a second? Andrew seconds. Any changes or discussion on the meeting minutes? Seeing as there are none, the motion on the table is that the Cheshire Board of Education approve the minutes of the Board of Education meeting held May 21st, 2020. All those in favor? All those against? Abstain?
I think he's frozen.
Oh, Andrew's frozen.
Yeah.
Andrew, you can hear us. Andrew, are you in favor of the motion? Yes. Both unanimous. Thank you.
Yes.
I thought he was mesmerized by my words. Sorry. Up next is correspondence.
Yes, sir. So we do have a letter that was sent to all of the board members and a number of other people, and it was specifically requested that we read it in full at the Board of Ed meetings. So the letter is from Christopher Affey and Sam Rosenberg. I was shocked and angered to see a post by Cheshire Board of Education President Tony Perugini in a Cheshire Facebook group sharing views that contradict recommendations from health experts about the coronavirus and our current public health crisis. Perugini copied a statement from rock musician Ted Nugent. Quotes that Tony shared include, I'm not wearing a mask. I'm not staying 6 feet from you. You believe the made up death numbers, and we're not all in this together. These statements violate all public health recommendations that have been shared with us, including national and local experts like our Chestercott health officials. Perugini's post was followed by comments that contained additional misinformation. We need to listen to experts, not share divisive commentary that encourages the spread of false information. The post went on to criticize those who are concerned about transmission of the virus and suggested we cover your whole body in tinfoil, mocking the very people who elected him to this position. This is not the type of leadership the Cheshire school system needs during this pandemic. The families of Cheshire want to know that students will be safe when they return to school. Students, staff, and teachers that are compromised want to feel that everything possible has been done to keep them safe. They do not want to hear personal divisive views and conspiracy theories. We need to act upon the science, not put virus deniers in positions which could negatively impact public health. If Mr. Perugini truly believes these statements, he is woefully inadequate to lead this school system toward reopening. As a parent, taxpayer, and teacher, I call for Tony Perugini to make a public apology to the members of the community, especially if he is to lead any votes about the opening and safety of Cheshire Public Schools in the fall. If he cannot do so in a genuine, thoughtful way, then he should recuse himself from any involvement in the reopening of our schools. Signed, Christopher Affey, 204 Peck Lane, and Sam Rosenberg, 299 Greenbrier Drive.
Thank you, Kat. Thank you, Kat. I will be addressing that during my chairperson's update. Thank you.
Right. Thank you.
Sorry, I just want to make a note about that. Up next is the much anticipated, much waited superintendent's report.
Yes, I was hoping to keep this quick. We have just a quick update on my end and then a few comments through CPS COVID-19. The update on my end, I know there's a lot of anticipation about the fall. Obviously, nobody has a crystal ball, but the state has put out several possible options for the fall, including AM, PM shifts for kids to maintain social distancing, flip-flopping weeks for students. So half the students go 1 week, half to go the next. Just a straight virtual classroom. There was another one where they suggested kids in elementary school go 4 days a week in school, 1 day remote, and high schoolers go 1 day a week in school, 4 days remote. I just want our families to know that what we're focused on first and foremost is meeting the educational needs of our students to the greatest extent possible and doing it in a way that's safe. So, of course, we'll be following medical guidance from the state if we have to adhere to executive orders and things like that. But one of the things that we've looked at is, do we have K through 7 students come every day in person? Those who can. I recognize that some who can't because of medical conditions or have families that have suppressed immune systems or something to that effect may have to engage remotely, as well as and then high schoolers would be remote. 8 through 12 would be remote. Because that's the only way that we can maintain social distancing. We'd have to spread K through 7 through all the buildings. So nothing there is optimal. What can be feasible and how do we best deliver instruction to kids? Even if students at the high school level have need and have to attend in person, then we would try and work on that too. I just want parents to know we're very sensitive to, the reality of being a working parent. I have 2 guys at home myself that, we're working with, but it's even tougher when they're younger. So we are sensitive to that as well as the needs of our students, and I'll be sending out more information on that shortly. In terms of COVID-19 emails, Mitchell Forlenza sent an email about, it was just a resource about wearing masks and the decrease in COVID-19 transmission associated with physical distancing and mask wearing. It's more of a resource that he sent to us. And then finally, we have 5 emails, all from Rob Broccato throughout the evening at 1146 Wolf Hill Road. So at 8:58, does Cheshire have the right not to follow Governor Lamont's executive orders? I feel keeping kids separate, not socializing, and especially wearing masks is dangerous and not healthy, both physically and mentally. Then at 9:32, thank you to the admin and Board of Ed. Great job through this. I was told from a friend who's a teacher in another town that Cheshire has done an excellent job, and our students are far ahead with online learning than their district. With is another very good school district, usually ranked slightly higher than Cheshire. My guess is not anymore. That's just my editorial, pardon me. Then at 9:36, thank you for passing this. With this crisis, 43,000 is reasonable and could be far worse. Then at 10:01, are these warm lights not blue that are bad for eyes and brains? And then the last one is at 10:10, can we purchase a SteriMist system for bathrooms overnight? Save a ton. So that's all I have, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. It's glad we have a dedicated fan that's been
Rob is one of our viewers this evening.
Thank you, Dr. Solon. We have no old business under new business. Just to remember that we moved item 10A up earlier to the beginning of the meeting where we welcomed Ms. Dessert onto the Cheshire school system. I do have a chair update, and I'm going to try to keep this as short as possible. And I got to tell you, it is hard for me, and I've talked to some of my board members and folks. You know, I'm certainly not making light of anything, and I want to give a brief history. I've posted about this, you know, left it up for folks to see for a while. Apologize to some folks that, you know, took it the wrong way, but last week, I think it was Wednesday or Thursday, I was debating about the COVID situation. Quite frankly, defending the folks like myself that believe it is very much real. That's kind of a joke not to believe that's the case. So, you know, to have a little fun with some of the folks that has extreme views, I took a quote from Mr. Nugent, and I got to tell you, trying to use the words Ted Nugent and Board of Ed in the same sentence, I kind of threw up in my mouth a little bit. So it's just, again, it was, the post topic was sarcastic. It was meant to use the words from Mr. Nugent about fear, and not so much his extreme, and we know it's a nut job, his extreme views on the particular situation. I'm sorry, I know that's debatable, but he is. Because I feel when folks use the word fear, not so much a fear of the virus or fear of its effects or fear going to work, but fear that when people like myself and others who talk about the situation, it constantly devolves into the name calling, the rhetoric, the shaming, the embarrassment of folks on one side or the other trying to use fear in a way to make us fearful of talking about it. So I wanted to have a little fun with the naysayers. I was not having fun with the folks on the receiving end of that. Like I said, I'm actually one of those folks. I don't wear tinfoil hats. The post was mocked. It was made in jest. That was made clear. The discussion ensued and went back and forth. Where I was struggling with it, again, this was in Cheshire Unplugged, not anyplace else. I couldn't figure out why a few folks are trying to tie this to the Board of Ed. It has nothing to do with the Board of Ed. It has zero to do with my beliefs of the COVID virus situation. Not that I'm arrogant. You know, I figure folks probably know who I am, know how much I've been defending the situation, how it's impacting our board. So I was really puzzled why a few folks thought this is how I feel about the Board of Ed. Absolutely not. I have no intention whatsoever to put our students in harm's way. It doesn't make any sense to me. And for a few days, I was trying to figure out, you know, what was driving this. And I got to tell you, I thought my name for a while was "You Don't Get It," and it wasn't so much about the post from Ted Nugent. I'm not even going to defend that. That even though it's a nut job. Sorry, but the only thing I agree with him is maybe he's a mediocre guitar player, but that's about it. From 5 decades ago, maybe. So it wasn't until, quite frankly, I got an email and a phone call. And one of the emails that came across kind of hit it home for me. And I have to acknowledge this. Now, before I say this, you might want to buckle your seatbelts because it might sound a little odd. I actually agree with Sam Rosenberg and Chris Affey. I think they hit the point, we're dead on. The email was not personal, it was not political, it wasn't meant to rile people up, but they pretty much confirmed what I heard from one other parent, which is, those words that they pulled out about the tinfoil hats and it not being real. I know folks actually are offended by that. And even though it's not my quote, and I made the post in jest to spark a conversation, I can't, it saddens my heart that anybody would think, me of all people on this board, and any of us for that matter, would not put the student's safety in the best interest. And that's just wrong. To have someone question if that's what I really think, I don't take it personally. I didn't take it in anger or embarrassment, but I gotta tell you, my heart sank. I don't want anybody believing that I would ever put our students' safety in jeopardy. It's just not true. I've been on this board for a long time. All my votes, my record speaks for itself. It's there. But I agree with Sam and Chris. There are folks that are the receiving end of that, and I kind of am one of those folks. And I acknowledge that, and I do apologize. I do apologize if that made you feel as if you were being targeted, and I certainly did not. So again, I have a hard time doing this. It's probably the first time in my career here where I've gotten this kind of feedback. The shaming, the name calling, the stuff that happens to us on social media as we trying to do what's right, sort of defending our right to believe code is real and be safe about the reopening. The person passing with it, I gotta tell you, my emotions are at an all-time high, especially as what's happened this past week. So I don't know what else to say in the matter. That is not how I feel. I think the post topic does, pretty much define that. I guess in some ways I'm thankful that, people kind of recognize me as a voice, and the one parent, actually someone I have high respect for in this community, called me up. We talked about it. And knowing who I am, they get it, where I was coming from. But the one thing they made clear to me that, and read some of the same words that Chris and Sam wrote in the email, was, Tony, it's, in this day and age, everybody's senses are at a heightened level. Mine are. But you got to remember, and the words were, your voice matters. And whether you realize it or not, you are a big voice for our education community. And so folks that probably don't know you, and quite frankly, I don't know why they're being Cheshire Unplugged. It's a form on its own, but nonetheless, they see all these great things you're doing and posting on the Board of Ed, and then eventually you're in there and they see that, it's a sarcastic discussion topic. They're kind of wondering, hey, does he really believe this? And the answer is no. The other thing I want to say is that while I appreciate folks think I have some superpower on this Board of Education, I don't. And I know Tim's smiling a little bit. We got to remember, it's 7 people on the Board of Ed that make decisions. None of us, and all 6 other people on this Board of Ed would never allow me or any one of us to bring extreme views to the table, one way or another, or try to influence a decision. Well, I'm not leading the Board of Ed down the path of making a bad decision. It's not up to me. It's probably up to the board. It's up to the administration as well. So rest assured, you're in good hands. Whether you believe me or not on this topic, I respect your decision. But the 7 of us work together for your best interest. I have no sway over that. I try to bring people to consensus. I try to let people bring out their points, but I've never, and I never will, censor someone on this board from doing what's right. But I will certainly step in if I feel it's wrong, and we've done that before. So I am deeply sorry that we have a few folks out there that would believe I would ever. And it's my heart has dropped quite a bit. Whether it's 1 or 100 folks on a complaint, I made a vow a long time ago. I would never turn my back on anyone complaining. And whether it's one student, it doesn't matter. I'll listen to everything. So again, I apologize, Sam and Chris in particular, and the others that contacted me. I think your point is on. And I would hope that you sort of know me watching these meetings, and I know you do. So I know you will definitely let me know if there's something in doubt. I hope you know that's not me. I would never do that to our school, and I would never lead on that path. So I'm deeply sorry for that, but I do want to acknowledge that that was a well-written email, and it made a lot of sense. The last thing I want to say kind of bothers me a lot is that, in this day and age, especially things that happen every day, I often wonder if, waking up in the morning, if today's the day humanity gives up with itself. There's so much going on that I'm wondering, what thing is going to happen? What major event's going to change course on a number of things? And I keep realizing that that's probably not going to happen. It's going to take each one of us, our kids, our generation, to things going on in the world and move things forward. But one of the things that bothers me as well on this is, I've seen communications on this matter, not the parent ones that we're discussing, not the folks that call me, but when I read things that say, "We finally got him. Now's the time." I'm not mad. I'm not angry, but that hurts. There's always a small political aspect to this, and by no means I'm not taking away from the parent complaints. That is the ultimate heartbreak for me. But I can never do that to somebody. I can never take advantage of a situation. And quite frankly, this does not warrant that. That's not in my heart. What's in my heart is love. And so to the parents out there, I'm very sorry that you're questioning my integrity. I know it's a few of you, but I know your intention was not to hurt me, but I gotta tell you, it stings. And I've heard you. I thank you. But I'm gonna continue doing my role. And I appreciate all the support in getting over this. But I don't feel this is something that I need to step away from. And I'm going to continue serving on the board the best I can with my fellow board members. And next time around, if folks feel like not lived up to this expectation, you can certainly not vote, and I understand that. But I am deeply sorry for those that contacted me or those that haven't. If you believe that that post was meant for you, it wasn't. It was meant in a sarcastic way, defending our position. So I apologize, and I want to thank the board for giving me the time to talk about this. So that's all I have to say in the matter. And as always, I am always available on the phone or wherever to talk more if folks want to talk about it. So thank you. Up next, I'm trying to find my position here. One last thing. So something that stuck out to me in all of this was obviously something that Faith brought up a couple weeks ago, and we briefly mentioned. But one of the parents I spoke to mentioned that, part of the angst, just in general, itself, is that, the amount of information that's been coming out from the board has been good, to the fact that we can communicate it as well as from the administration. What we've been hearing, time and again from parents is about the fall reopening, and Jeff, Dr. Solon mentioned that earlier. There's a lot of variables there, and so I think one of the things that could help with the reopening, and we'll bring this up at a future board meeting, hopefully, is the possibility of creating some kind of board task force or something where at least parents can give their thoughts on the reopening, share their concerns and ideas. Faith has been doing some legwork. I think she mentioned a couple of weeks ago. I know some of us brought it up, and it's certainly not for trying to have yet another committee. I know Jeff's involved in a lot of regional open committees, but I think if we get closer to some guidelines, I think it's important to find some way for the board. I'm not dumping this on Jeff or the administration, but maybe the board can lead something. We used to have open forums before COVID. Unfortunately, we can't do that. But hopefully by the end of the month, we can talk about a little bit and see if there's something there. Very much like to get our parents heard. Not that they're not, but there's gonna be a lot of questions on the opening, and I think just having their voice and hearing them will go a long way. So that was all I want to say on that. Upcoming meetings and events, and for folks watching, while we're nearing the end of the month, and usually we end the school year on June 30th, and we will. I can tell you that the board is going to be busy through the summer, unfortunately, as well as administration and some staff, but just getting ready for a number of things. But these meetings are what's scheduled so far. There may be more in July and August. I think, pretty sure there will be. As those are made available, we'll certainly get that out to you. So upcoming meetings. Monday, June 8th, 7 p.m. There's a curriculum committee meeting. Will be held via YouTube Live and Google Meet. On Wednesday, June 10th, June 17th, and June 24th at 7 p.m. We have Personnel Committee meeting of the whole, an executive session. On Tuesday, June 30th, 7:30. We have a Board of Fiscal meeting. It'll be a virtual meeting. June 8th is my 50th birthday, and I just want to quip if I can. If you told me 20 years ago I'd be apologizing about a Ted Nugent post for my 50th birthday, I'd say you're crazy. But yeah, here we are. I guess anything can happen. So that being said, I don't have any other updates. We are going to adjourn to executive session. We do have something to discuss. That's related to union negotiations and the upcoming superintendent's evaluation. So would a board member be kind enough to make a motion to adjourn the executive session?
I move that we go into executive session with no action to follow, including both Jeff Solon and Mr. Massiana. Yes? No?
Yes. Yes. Do we need Marlene Solano or not?
No,
Not that they keep you longer than you have to be here. I wasn't sure. So no?
No.
Okay. Is there a second? All those in favor? Thank you. The meeting's adjourned.